Hey, GLP1 plus sides community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights, and you can appeal not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming, and a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy-to-use tool that helps you build expert-backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plussides to learn more and use code PLUSSIDES with a Z to save.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Welcome to the Plus Sides Podcast. How you doing, Kat?
We have been chatting.
We have.
Backstage, cutting up.
We are very, very silly and also tired, which is probably why that we're like this tonight. So we're glad to have you with us.
Yeah,
hey.
Thank you.
How you doing, Kat?
Hey.
How's it going? What's up?
Hi, everybody.
Listen, it's been a day. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm very excited to be here with you guys, and with my Kit Kat and with our special guests. So we will talk all about that tonight. I want to start by doing intros. So if you are a regular and you love us and you don't want to hear this again, this is your cue to fast forward. However, we get hundreds of people a week. So I don't know what to tell you guys. We have to tell you who we are. So this is how it works. So my name is Kim Carlos. This is the Plus Sides Podcast. I am the producer. Kat is my co-producer. We are besties. And we run this podcast. Our podcast is ranked in the top 1.5% of all podcasts, as Kat would say.
In the world.
I love to count. And we are all about metabolic disease. We are a community. We provide education and advocacy, and we interview doctors and community members all about not just GLP-1 medications, but anything that has to do with your health. If you struggle with metabolic disease, our podcast has won 4 awards. And we are a big deal, and we are so glad to have you here because we wouldn't be any of those things if it wasn't for you and your support.
Kind of a big deal.
And while you're listening to this, I'm going to need you, if you're watching, to hit the little
Like,
thumbs up.
Follow,
and
subscribe, do all the
like
things.
and subscribe, and please go leave us a review because that is how we get ranked higher. And
5 stars only.
Find us that need help. And we know there's so much misinformation, disinformation, all the things in this
Man,
world today.
so much misinformation.
We need community, we need support, we need quality care, we need all of those things. And we try, Kat and I really, really try to provide that here for you. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
indeed.
we love you. Thanks. Kat, who are you? What you doing? What's up? How's it going?
I have been officially designated as Kim's social lubricant.
Yes,
So
that is
you
right.
can call me Extra Lube. So I joke and I call myself like the spare plus sizer because everybody
Silly.
knows Kim, like Kim. But when you see us in IRL, in real, like face to face, I am the butterfly and Kim is the whoa
Oh
people.
my
And
God.
I'm like, hi. So I am Extra Lube.
You
Yep.
are. Well, that's what we say. It's
Uh-huh.
because I'm like, she's like my social
I'm
lubricant because
KT Jelly.
she like brings me out of my shell and she gets me talking to people and stuff. Because if
Yep.
you leave it to me, guys, I'm going to be over in the corner talking with 1 to 3 people. And those people and I will just be talking their ear off about this subject. Like, and then if you want to talk about anything else, that's when I get kind of weird. I don't really know what
Well,
else.
yeah. So I walk around and just nerd out on everything because,
Yeah, she does.
yeah.
She's awesome.
So just call me Extra Lube.
Extra lube.
So
Well,
if you
I'm
need
so glad that you were my extra.
Extra Lube, but I lost 80 pounds on the MJ.
That's
we've been on
right.
this journey for like 3 years.
I feel like it's more than 80 now because you started losing again after you got on HRT.
Yeah, after I got on HRT. It could be more. I think it could be like, so my highest weight was 320, but that was like, I vacillated. I went up and down between like 320,
You
300,
lubricated.
320. Lube, yeah. It was well lubed. That binging was very lubed. The ice cream lubricated the esophagus. You know what? We're going to get really deep. Nope. That is so many jokes waiting to happen. And I'm not, listen, we are not a rated
love you.
R podcast, right? So let's, but anyway,
Okay.
yeah, and it's like when I try to do it on my own, like 20, 30, 20, 30. And then, yeah. So, at my highest though, like it was like 320, right? And I'm at about 225. So yeah, I'm getting there. I guess I am at 90 pounds. I'm a little bit over 90, right?
Yeah. Well, if it was
Whatever.
320 and you're 220-ish and then you would be almost at
It's
100.
almost at a 100.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And see, but you hit stalls and plateaus and all the things are
Man,
so
follow
normal.
my journey. Follow me, Kat Carter 7 on TikTok. You will see all of the, and you follow us here. You will see all of my whiny phases. You'll see my face go expand and shrink throughout the years while we're doing the podcast, because I was also in perimenopause and didn't start taking HRT until the end of last year, and it was life-saving and changing. And my husband thanks me.
Quick plug for Winona, HRT saves the day. Yeah, we have a whole episode on that. Go watch it. We got a code and all the things. Quick, Kat, what's your code for Winona?
Dr. Kat Brown. Just go to my link, and I don't have my
we have a link tree.
Go to my link. It's in my link tree.
Yep, and there's code and all things, and you can sign on. And we are big fans.
Yep,
we're big fans.
So you know what? Speaking of menopause, Kim, I got to say this because you know what came in the mail today?
What?
It's okay.
What is it?
It is a Weight Watchers advertisement.
Oh my God. Are you shitting me?
Ma'am, we have grown. We have grown. You know what? One of these days I'm going to get deep. One of these days I'm going to get deep and be like, Kim, let's talk about why it makes you feel that way. But you know what? When you're socially lubed. So anyway, Queen Latifah, but it's menopause support.
I do love Queen Latifah.
So
for the record,
they changed it from WW to Weight Watch back to Weight Watchers, right? But it's Weight Watchers for menopause. Listen, I can't knock their hustle. So, but it came in the mail and I said, oh, and it's Queen. I love Queen Latifah. We are living single.
I'm getting like a rush.
Okay, well then let's talk about the book. Our guest today.
Anybody that's been watching this show till forever knows I have a complicated past with Weight Watchers.
But you have grown.
I have, but that about threw me over. What are you doing recording that with me?
I thought you had seen it before.
I just thought it was like a Winona thing because it was purple. I was like, oh, something new for Winona. And then it was all like Weight Watcher and Queen Latifah. I mean, that was the only saving grace because I love her.
We are living.
Yeah.
Single.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah, let's go watch all the reruns of Living Single. I love
He
that
was
show.
bad.
But anyway, let's get back onto the subject at hand. I'm sorry, I
Thanks,
thought you saw
thanks,
because you
Kat.
were laughing.
No.
My bad.
Well, it was good TV, I guess.
Listen, I'm social lube, so we'll
Social
just get
lube.
you back.
All right. Lube us
We'll
back
just
in. All right. Let's
yeah.
go back. Today, we are going to talk about something that's something we talk about the healing journey for Kim, right? A lot of that
she
is
talks all about that in this book too.
because diet culture. It's definitely going to come up in this conversation. I do feel like I was on the other end of it until you said that, but I'm still there. It was just a gut reaction. I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. Why am I so squeaky? I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay,
No,
Ross.
anyway. This is we got way over our intro this time. We've
Yeah, we
gotten
did. My bad,
fast with
guys.
it. Woo! All right, we're going to talk about food, guys. We got to talk about food. We're going to talk about food and GLP-1s. I could not talk about this the first year we did this podcast because I just was in an, unending relationship with restriction and food. And there's a lot of trauma from that ever since I was a young kid, right? And my first diet was Weight Watchers. I talk about it a lot. It's on the first episode. So,
We have all the growth, right?
yeah. So, it's on episode 3. That's Fat and Lazy, that episode on season 1. But anyway, I sound like I don't run my mouth about it here. Again, then why everybody thinks I'm the extrovert.
And then the spare.
Anyway, I'm not, Kat is. So we're here to talk to you about that today. And we have a community member and a dietitian, and we're going to talk all about it. So without further ado, sorry for all that. Blame Kat. All right.
I did not mean that. I thought she knew.
I did not know.
Okay, so
anybody that's watching me knows I didn't.
We were. Yeah, I thought. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome, Gianna.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Oh,
me.
let me get mine too.
Oh my gosh, wait, I have mine.
Mine's a little blurry because I have the blur on.
The GLP1 solution.
We have to get the way.
We're so coordinated.
All of our blurry. We are coordinated. We are a big fan. This is part of our logo colors. So we love turquoise, teal, whatever you call it, turquoise, I call it. Because we wanted our logo to be very like 80s, like jazzercise. That's why it looks like that.
Honestly, nailed it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I totally see that. Like that absolutely is fully pulled together with that. Honestly, I did not get a say in like the cover, but really? my two big well, I have a whole like palette of my brand colors, but my two big colors are pink and blue. Not the exact blue of the book, but close enough that I was like, honestly, so on brand. I love it. They sent me like the design initially to be like feedback, thoughts. And I was like, honestly, love it. Couldn't do it better. So you guys do you. Like, so hands off. I'm like, it's beautiful. The words are big.
Let's talk about what your book is called first. And then after we do that, we're going to start breaking into your story. And I'm going to dig into some food stuff with you. Sound good?
Would love to.
Okay. What's the name of your book?
So yes, my book is called The GLP1 Solution. It is technically that is the title itself, but the subheading of the book is 175 plus. There's actually like 186, I think. Strategies, tips, and tools to maximize your weight loss and feel your best on semaglutide, tirzepatide, and more. So kind of a long subheadline there, but I'm pretty sure it's 186. Because I couldn't stop writing. They were like,
well, it's good for SEO,
you were
right?
flowing. Yeah.
We actually may have that be the name of the episode because that's some good SEO right there. I love it.
Good. Yes. Yeah. They had the vision, the publishing house had the vision for it, and they were like, you want to write a book? And I was like, sure.
Great.
Let's do it.
Love it.
And they kind of told me their vision, and I submitted a sample of my writing, and now here I am, literally a year later with a book that's published in the world.
That's amazing. Like legitimately, as someone who's been writing a book for 500 million years about all of this and what I've been going through, like it is such an accomplishment to write a book, especially about the subject. You know what I mean? And I applaud you. Huzzah.
Thank you.
Round of applause. It's so fantastic. So hard to do. I'm still not done. I only got the first chapter. I got the outline. I know everything it's going to be about. I just got to do it.
I read this entirely on the way to Omaha, Nebraska.
So we have really good questions to go over with you. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about we know you, right? Because you're a member of our community. And we also met at the Obesity Action Coalition's Your Weight Matter conference. And so we know you, but other people don't know you. So tell us a little bit about who you are and how you help people.
Yeah, I would be happy to. So, um, my name is Gianna Beasley. I am a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, along with a couple other additional acronyms that you could throw on my name. But for simplified purposes, that is who I am. I have been a dietitian for over 5 years now, and I have a private practice where I help people who take GLP-1 medications, but also I help women who don't take GLP-1 medications just with their own health goals in life. I actually became a certified personal trainer in the process of also becoming a dietitian because I knew that I wanted to be able to help people ethically and safely with nutrition and fitness because I think they go together. Um, I also have additional certifications in like mindset work and things like that because I always say like you cannot have great physical health without mental health there as well. They go hand in hand and our relationship with our bodies is very complex and a lot of times it's the mental challenge that goes with the
Oh,
physical. So
yeah. So true.
yeah, I'm based in Colorado, but everything that I do is virtual. So I actually help people all around the world. I have people all the way in Singapore that I'm working with. So all across the world, I work with people, like I said, GLP-1 or no GLP-1. I will say over 50% is GLP-1 specific now. That's not how I started as a dietitian. I started more in the functional, like medicine type
Mhm.
space. So I believe in a very like holistic, well-rounded approach to care, which I think you can see through my book because I talk about a variety of topics from like literally like meditation or all the way to like the actual like macros inside of things like counting calories or counting macros like
Mm.
I think it all matters.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
think what
Yeah.
matters most and kind of my philosophy as a dietitian is all of us are different. What I tell one person, like Kim, like my advice for you would definitely be different, might be similar, but would be different for Kat. Like,
That's
we
cool.
we are our
I
own
love that.
people.
Yeah.
So, while we have similarities, like all 3 of us on this call, so this is a little
Mhm.
bit more about me too.
Yeah.
I'm on a GLP-1 medication. I started, um, Mounjaro back in October of 2022, so I am,
You are an
um
OG, babe. You're an
yeah.
OG.
He's an OG.
Yes, but I
Mm.
have this fear of social media that I'm currently working on getting over. When we met at the OAC, actually, it's funny because I felt like a couple different lunches that I had with people was like actually a small intervention to be like, you need to start posting on social media more. And I'm like, please let me go like hide in a brown paper bag and like not be on social media. Um,
Mm-mm. Gotta
because
do it.
I am a sensitive girly. So like
Oh, yeah.
I live in this weird space as a dietitian, but also someone who wants to share my journey, and I have been sharing my journey. I've posted educational content on social media. My primary platform is not TikTok like most people who
Yeah.
I know in this community. My primary platform is Instagram. So you can scroll back literally 5 years on my Instagram and find educational posts 5 years from 5 years ago on. So there are hundreds of posts there. And so when I look at the grand scheme of things, I've been on a GLP-1 now for essentially 3 years.
Mm.
Um, and I actually started it for my PCOS, and my insulin resistance. And so I realized I actually recorded a video. This is where it all started for me in sharing in this space. I had my podcast already, but I was more in the functional medicine space, like I said earlier. I had other guests coming on. I was talking about general nutrition stuff, and then I shared my basically 1 year anniversary taking a GLP-1, and it exploded. Like to this day, it's my most listened to episode, my most downloaded episode, and I was like, oh, but when I first started, like literally the day I did my first shot, I made a video on my phone, just me in my living room, sounding kind of stuffy actually, like I am right now, because I just got back from Europe currently. And ironically, 3 years ago, when I took my first shot, it was 2 days after getting back from Europe, and I came back with a cold also. So
Oh my
apparently,
gosh.
Europe and I, we love each other, but we come back with a cold, probably because I
Mhm.
try to
I
do
feel like it's
17 pounds.
impossible not to. Like, you know what I mean? Especially on planes. Planes are gross.
Oh my God.
It's
Gross,
so
yeah.
Well,
nasty.
honestly, I gotta tell you, everywhere we went, people were
Yeah.
hacking a lung
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's such
I'm like,
a
I'm in the Sistine Chapel admiring the work on the ceiling, and you just hear people, like, around the corner just, like, hacking a lung, sneezing, and, like, I'm just, like, cringing every time I hear it, and I'm like, "It's
yeah.
coming for me." It did
Right.
come for me, unfortunately, but we're making it work.
Yeah.
But I recorded this video, very dimly lit, and was like I literally started with, "I don't know if I'm ever gonna share this, but I'm Gianna. I'm a dietitian. I'm starting a GLP-1. I'm,
Yeah.
like, afraid to share this because there's so much stigma around it." And then I sat on that video for a few weeks and was like, "Wait a second. I should be sharing this because
Mhm.
I almost didn't take a GLP-1 even though as a healthcare provider, I knew how beneficial it could be. I
Mhm.
knew how great it could be for me personally with my own health. But I was
Mhm.
like, if I was afraid to take it because of the stigma, surely a bunch of other people are too."
Mhm. Don't
And
call me Shirley. No. Shirley
Gianna, do you
is
remember
her,
that?
though.
Is Gianna, are you old enough to remember Airplane?
yes.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
good. Never
Yeah.
mind. All right.
So yeah, so
I'm so weird. Okay, go ahead.
no,
Sorry, we're all
I love you
yeah.
guys. You're like my perfect brand of fun. Um, but so that's kind of like a little bit about me and my background. I got my bachelor's, I did my dietetic internship, then I got my master's degree. I got literally I have like a whole wall of all the other certifications I've got. I've spent actually almost as much on my like on additional
Mhm.
certifications as I did on my master's
So
because
you love to learn.
I love
Yeah.
learning, but more importantly, like, I want to provide the best level of care that I can to my clients
Yeah.
that I possibly can. And like I said, that for me included the fitness piece of things, included the mindset piece of things,
Yeah.
but I wanted to make sure I actually had the education, the experience,
Sure,
the,
yeah.
safe and ethical way to do it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm big on that.
I love it.
Um, because I think that the world of social media can be amazing. I mean,
Yes.
it's how I've met you guys, like, before I met you in person. It's how I've met so many other wonderful people in this community,
Mhm.
but also at the same flip of the coin, part of what scares me so much about social media is there's a lot of misinformation on social media, which then sometimes I feel like takes the fun out of social media for me because I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
man."
I do feel like it's hard for anybody that's in the healthcare space to, like, see what people do and stuff like that. I think that, like, it's a weird thing. So since you went here, we're gonna go here. Okay, so when it comes to, like, this space, I will tell you it is hard for me, and I think Kat too, we both feel like posers a lot of times because we are not medical professionals. I'm not even medical adjacent. I just interview doctors on the internet. And yet I'm out there trying to simplify
Hmm.
this message for people.
Would
And
I
it
be
is
medical
because
adjacent?
yeah.
I am. My sister's a doctor. Okay, go ahead.
That's not
I feel
adjacent. Like, I'm not like
Is
I
that
would say like
adjacent?
my no. No.
Okay.
I mean,
So
like,
I
I'm
am
not
not
I mean, like
medical adjacent.
like to me, like medical adjacent would be like you work in the medical healthcare field doing something. I don't. I'm a product marketer in cybersecurity, right? But what I do is I take very complex things and then I break them down to things that are digestible so people can
That's a
understand
skill.
them and ultimately buy, win, sell all things, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, like that's what I saw that problem that you're talking about here.
See?
And I was like, we got to get ahead of this. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, the platforms would not exist and be successful, like in terms of TikTok and the IG and the lives and all of that, if there were enough doctors, right? If there were enough
Absolutely.
specialists, if there was enough access to those doctors where people could afford it, if there was enough access to the medication where people could afford it and be able to get it. And if frankly, the ones that were providing it were doing their job better. And
Yeah.
I'm saying that because for the most part, we usually have weight experts on here, like endocrinologists, bariatric surgeons, obesity specialists, dietitians, like people who are experts in this area. And the reason we do that is because we want other PCPs and other doctors to come here and be able to learn from that because
Yeah.
they're not doing it right. A lot of them are not doing it right. And our people, our community is suffering. And it's what gets me out of bed every day to
Yeah.
try to solve that problem. I think the issue is there's a lot of well-meaning people out there that are coaches and things like that. But at the end of the day, it sort of can be like the blind leading the blind, right? Because a lot of us have been very much, I would say, you all got me soapboxing. Very much, I think, like from a diet culture perspective, traumatized.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And even just the way the society is and the way what it's like to live in a big body here. Like there's so many things. And so we can be very kind to each other, but ultimately
Yeah.
it's just like you said, we're all individual people. So I think
Mhm.
like that fine line of not being able to give medical advice, that is really hard to not cross.
Yeah.
But you have to say that and do that. And like, but there are plenty of people out there, again, I think they're well-meaning. They
Yeah.
know it, they've seen it, so they think it's so, but ultimately it's not a replacement for a doctor or a very educated dietitian. It's just, it's not a nurse practitioner, none of it, So we have a lot of experience in that area, but ultimately, like we can't tell people like what to do. So what Kat and I do is we try to empower people to go to their doctors and talk to their doctors and have conversations with their doctors. You know what I mean? Or their providers, right? Like it's not
Yep.
always a doctor. As we said, there aren't even enough doctors to cover and treat the amount of people that have obesity. There's not
Literally.
enough. So we
Or
have to solve for the problem. And so I feel like we're kind of doing that together, right? Like through social media. I think
Mhm.
that would be great. And I have been talking to OAC about this. If we could find a way to get where we could be certified, right? So that
Mhm.
people who were talking about this were ones that have been
Yes.
educated to say certain things, right? And to not say others. And there was like
Yeah.
compliance and like things that we had to fall within. I feel like that would be a good thing because it would be more trusted. And I think like with the age of AI coming up, like this problem isn't getting smaller,
No.
right? It's getting bigger.
Not at
And
all.
knowing who you can trust and where to go is it's like a chasm. It's just
Mhm.
massive. So anyway, soapbox.
No. I think that's so fair, and I think too,
Yeah.
like, a big part of my personal story that, like, I can very heavily relate to, like,
Yeah.
I didn't just become a dietitian for funsies. I mean, it is fun. I love what I do.
Yeah.
However, I didn't start as a dietitian, I started in nursing because I knew I wanted to help people, but
I got
I
you.
was working in the hospital as a CNA, so a nurse assistant, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, heck no."
Yeah.
I cannot. I was like, this is not how I help people." I
Yeah.
saw people laying in hospital beds, and I'm like, "You could have avoided being here
Mm,
if you had talked to someone earlier, if
mm,
you knew this earlier."
mhm.
And so that's when I was like, "And switching majors." And
Yeah.
so 2 years into my bachelor's, and I was like, "And we're gone. We're
Yeah.
gonna go be a dietitian instead." But a big driver of that for me is my own health story and
Mhm.
like my family members who struggled with like
Yeah.
chronic diseases, autoimmune conditions, things like that. But I think for a lot of us, and obviously like for people who don't know me, you just
Yeah.
see like my head or you're hearing my voice. I live in a plus size body. I have technically lived in a body bigger than my peers my entire life.
Mhm.
I have never been the small friend. I have never been considered a normal size. So I am a plus size healthcare provider. So I
Yeah.
have lived in a bigger body. I have that experience as well. And you don't have to have experience in certain things like
Mhm.
taking a GLP-1 or living in a bigger body to be a great healthcare provider. However,
True.
I will be very honest, it's given me an indescribable perspective of like people do come to me and we're talking and they're like, "I know that you will understand this." And I'm like, "I completely understand to my very core every word that you're saying right now because I've had that same experience on an airplane or I've
Mhm.
had that same experience with family members
Yes.
commenting on
Mhm.
my body." Like I've
Mhm.
lived it as well. Like I have that professional experience that um I'm working on being, more like I have that experience, like, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm kind of normally very like, "Oh, yeah, well, like, I have my master's degree," and then I'm like, "Wait, yeah, I
Yeah.
have my master's degree." Like, I cried at my laptop for, like, a whole year doing an accelerated master's program
Mhm.
Yeah.
with a big
Yeah,
focus
that
on, like,
sounds yeah.
PCOS.
Yeah.
And so for for me, I had terrible experiences with doctors.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about that? Let's talk about
Mhm.
your story. So the way that our show usually works is just you're special because you're both.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we
Yeah.
have somebody that's both, this is how we do it. Especially if it's someone that's in how like we've done it with Dr.
Mhm.
Rentier has struggles with obesity, and sometimes she comes on with us and she's as a patient, she's also as the provider, right? But our goal is to be able to provide stories to move the heart and logic to move the head
Okay.
at the same time because we're
Be
trying to change things, right?
before we get into it,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
gotta say it
Go ahead.
because when I picked up this book, so people who out there who are like me,
Yeah.
check your ego a little bit. I was like, because I've always been kind of stinky about it. I'm like, oh, I've never gotten food version, and I've
Yeah. Food
never
diversion.
had no appetite. I was being snarky. Like,
Mhm.
well, what's this gonna help me with? But I need to read, but I wasn't that snotty about it. But I need to read this because this is a very useful tool. Um Yeah, so my ego got checked like within the first page. I was like, "Oh, I need all of these tips." So,
Mhm.
if you don't
Way to
think it
do.
applies to you, like, "Oh, I eat the protein.
Mhm.
I don't get the diarrhea, the nausea. I don't get any of the food aversion. And I still had to like, fight on the GLP-1 to kind of push the pounds down. Oh no, no, this is very useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you
Awesome.
should probably pick this up, like what Kim
We'll
mentioned.
put it in the link. We'll put a
Yeah.
link in there so people can get it if they which will be great, to
So
be able to look at your book.
yeah,
Where was it
we
on?
mentioned, yeah,
You
like,
got it. It
yeah,
is on
definitely
Amazon.
pick this up because if you are new to a GLP-1 and we always talk about like your doctors may or may not really know, just pick this up.
Yeah.
There's a
Listen.
plethora of
And it's
information.
it's a perfect way to be able to, I think, like, I mean, there's so many good books out there, but I haven't read one by a dietitian yet. So I think this is great. And what I want everybody to understand though is where you come from. Like, and what I mean by that is, when you first started forming the essence of you, right? What was that like? So you mentioned like you had never been in a small body, right? I think that one of the biggest things that people find sort of life changing on this medication and why we have freaking social media platforms about a medication is because of the life-changing experience that we have when we go from the before
Right.
state to the after state, right? Which is
Hmm.
right. So what was it like for you before? And then what was it like for you when you did try it? Because we know the logic of it, right? Which is that you took it, you tried it, you lost weight, you feel good, and all the things you wrote the book.
Mhm.
But tell us what it was like and what it felt like and what dots connected for you, right? When that happened. You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights and you can appeal not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming, and a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy to use tool that helps you build expert backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plus sides to learn more and use code plus sides with a Z to save.
Yeah. So, not to go too far back, but to go back to
You can go
childhood.
back.
You go back.
Um, so to go all the way back to
This is long form content, friend.
and this is exactly why I have my own podcast because
Crazy stuff.
I love long form content. I
You
am
do too.
not built for social media clips. I am built for like talking to someone. Like I'm still that friend that's like, so like you want to catch up? I can call you, and they're like, why? And I'm like, I just like
Kat hates it when I do that. She's like, I don't do the phone, Kim. Can we just voice text?
you can
Okay,
you
on the
can call me.
weekend,
On the
outside of
weekends, that'd be
business
fun.
hours.
Outside of school hours, that's so funny. Well, and then my husband likes to make fun of me and my friends because we voice memo each other back and forth,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "It just saves time this way," and then he sent me, like, a meme one day that was like, my wife and her friend saying that voice memoing saves them time when they literally spend more time talking in the voice memo than they would have on a text, and I was like,
Totally. I feel it. I understand
Yeah,
it.
she's like, "Oh, yeah."
And my soul, Gianna, I get
"Will
it.
come for me." So, if we go back basically to I was gonna say little me, except for I've been the same height since I was 10, so I don't really feel like that's
You're
I've
so
been,
little.
like, 5'1" literally
Yeah.
for, like, the last
Oh,
18 years,
wow.
so someone said once that I give off tall person energy when they met me in person, they were like, "But you're really short," and I was like, "Oh, thank you."
I don't recognize people how tall or short they are
Oh, I
unless they're
like
very,
that.
very
Tall
tiny.
person energy.
Yeah, tall
Yeah.
person energy. I like
They were
it.
like, "On Zoom, you gave off tall person energy, but in person, you're, like, really short." And I was, like, there with a 15-year-old that I was chaperoning, and she literally was like, "Did they say that to you?" And I was like, "Yep, they did." I was like, "It's
Mhm.
fine." But, flashing back to me as a kid, I
Mhm.
I will never forget this, and, Kim, I know you mentioned, like, Weight Watchers was part of, like, your childhood. Boy, oh boy, was that also part of my childhood. I do remember that. I remember going it wasn't Weight Watchers, but it was a similar type program where, um you, like, went in and you weighed in and, like, there were a bunch of bars and shakes and, like, you went to an office and I still it's a FedEx now. I still live by it. It's a FedEx now, but the building is still there, and I think about it, like, when I drive by, I'm like, "Oh, I remember that." And so it's one of those things that, like, to be very clear, I have the best mom. I have the best parents, I have the best family, like, no childhood trauma from my family at all. My mom wanted the best for me, and she saw that I really struggled, and
Yeah.
from a very young age, I played year-round sports. I was a 3-sport athlete. I was always in sports season. There was not a season where I wasn't in sport. I did basketball, volleyball, I swam, like, to the point where, like, I was ranking at, like, the state swim meets, like, in, like, the top 5. Like, I was a year-round, very athletic kid. We did not grow up with, like, sugar in the house or anything like that, and not because it was like, "Sugar's evil," but, like, my mom that's just, like, not who my mom was. My mom was, like, the fruit and vegetable mom where, like, dessert was, like, blueberries with a little whipped cream on top. Like,
Yum.
oh, yeah, it was great. Like,
Yeah.
no complaints here. So, like, we were not the soda household or the juice household or the fun snack household. It was like my mom put chlorophyll drops in my water, and I was excited about it because I thought it tasted good.
What does
Mm.
that do?
Literally, I don't think it does anything for you. It just, like, it makes your water green and it tastes, like, kinda minty.
Oh, that's fun.
I never knew that. Okay.
Just to make you drink your water, probably.
Yeah, I think
Keep you
I
hydrated.
think she thought at one point there was a health benefit to it, but now me as an adult healthcare provider, I don't think there's, like, really anything. But now I, like, laugh as I say that, and I'm like, "This makes so much sense why I have to have flavor in everything that I drink now," because I definitely grew up
Yeah.
with like, I loved chlorophyll water, and I
Mhm.
remember all my friends looking at me like I was weird, but I remember, like, a very core childhood memory, still live by my childhood pediatrician's office. I remember sitting in that office, and I remember my mom being like, "I wanna approach you guys, like, I wanna discuss her weight again, because once again, she's gained weight this year, but, like, she's very active, she eats well, like, but I was always hungry. I'm
And how
still."
old were you then? Because you are supposed to gain weight, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're an
I was
active growing
probably
kid. Yeah.
11, maybe
Mhm.
12.
You're supposed
Okay.
to get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Just
an active
saying.
Problem
growing
the
kid.
the
Yeah.
problem with where I was at is I was technically gaining weight faster than, like, you were supposed to at that
Like you were
age.
out of your curve, right?
Yes,
You're saying.
and actually, like, I'll never forget how my mom phrased this, and again, this is not shade at my mom. My mom is the best.
No,
She
you
was
get
just trying to figure out, like,
right.
why is my child always starving? Like, she eats adequate food, like, but basically how she described it to the doctor, and the doctor agreed, is I was 10 pounds heavier than my weight. So every year I was gaining at least 10 pounds. So, like, when I was 10, I was 110 pounds. When I was 11, I was 120 pounds. When I was 15, I was 160 pounds. Like, it just kept going up. Like, there was no end in sight. Like, and I started my period at 11,
Wow.
which is like a whole other story where I was in
Yeah.
Brazil by myself without my parents, and, like, that
Oh,
was
wow.
just
That's a lot.
traumatic, yeah. I probably wouldn't do that again in another life if I could choose, but, we made it through, but, my cycle started at 11 and then, like, would come, like, maybe once or twice a year,
Yeah.
but we were like, "Okay, well, maybe it's because 'cause I'm young," but by the time I was 15, they
Mhm.
still were only coming once or twice a year, and my
Mhm.
weight was still climbing, and
Yeah.
so my mom fought tooth and nail with my pediatricians and with other providers to try to get answers, and so I'm actually very lucky, like, nowadays, right, in 2025, women are being diagnosed with PCOS a little bit more easily. There's more
Yes.
awareness
Yes.
to it,
Yes.
recognition to it,
Yes.
like, but when you think about basically 2011, there was not a ton of recognition around it. So
Yeah.
my mom worked really hard to keep digging for answers, and basically there's diagnostic criteria for PCOS,
Mhm.
and once they actually did labs and once they looked at everything, once we looked at my ovaries, they were like, "Oh, yeah." Every diagnostic criteria you could have, I have.
Yeah.
So, I got diagnosed with PCOS, in 2011, and so that then was followed up with, "Okay, go see this other doctor, and he's gonna tell her what to do to lose weight." And I was
Mhm.
on board, right? Because 'Cause I'm a freshman in high school. I'm much bigger than all my peers, and, like, I look back on it now and I'm like, "Haha, you were much bigger." I'm like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
Gianna." But, like, I'm now sad for previous me because I'm like, "You were so worried about what people
Mhm.
thought about you and the body that you were in." Like,
Yeah.
I wanna hug her and be like, "It's really okay, like, and it's not your fault."
Yeah.
But it just felt like my fault at that point, like, being a
Sure. Me
It
too.
always does.
fifteen-year-old,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like,
I get it. I mean, legitimately, girl, I'll be 46 this year. 3 years ago, up until then, I thought it was all my fault.
mhm,
Like, I thought all of it was my fault, that I was just weak and sad and pathetic, and that everybody else had food noise, or I didn't think it was food noise. I was hungry all the time, and that they were just tougher and stronger and mightier than I was,
Yeah.
and good news, it's not, you know. So,
Great
but
news.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
yeah, and so
were you able to get any kind of medicine then? Like, did they put you on birth control, or how did that come about?
great question. So I grew up in a Catholic household, and so I feel
Mm.
like most people who grew up in Catholic households are probably like giggling, like, I know where
Yeah.
this is going.
I have many Catholic friends, so yes, that's why I'm like, "Oh, hell." Okay.
And I did, like, I ended up getting a boyfriend my sophomore year of high school, and so when we started looking at this, basically they were like, "Let's try to" actually, which is kind of surprising because I feel like this is not the case. The first actual thing was, "Go see this doctor, he's gonna talk to you about, like, losing weight, let's try to manage this with basically losing weight." And I'm
Mhm,
like, "Okay, yeah, I wanna lose weight, that sounds great." When I tell you guys, I made the varsity swim team as a freshman in high school.
mhm.
So I was practicing for 2 hours before school started, and then about 2.5 hours after school, every
Yep.
single day, 5 days per week, with a swim meet every week. This man put me on 1,200 calories,
No.
and on the days where I had extra practices or, like, a meet, I got an extra, like I don't know the exact number now, but I got, like, a small extra bump of carbs or something. I was so tired all the time. I
I
remember
bet. Yeah.
sitting at Panera next to my friends because we would go there after morning practice. Because all of us who had morning practice, on the team, we had the first period of school off because, like, you don't just pluck your body from a pool and throw yourself into, like, AP
Mm.
biology first thing in the morning. But we'd go to Panera and everybody was getting their snacks, and I was sitting there and I had my protein shake, and I just remember being so hungry, but I wanted to lose weight, so I was like, "Okay." And of course, naturally, when your food intake is that low and your activity is that high, you're going to lose weight. So I lost,
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 30 to 40 pounds. And I was like, I'm thin. This is
Mhm.
great. I finally lost the weight, but I was so tired and I was so hungry and I was so agitated. But I had a boyfriend because then, of course, that's like when I got a
Oh,
boyfriend
sure.
at that point
Yeah.
where I'm like, it's because I've lost weight that I then got a
Yeah.
boyfriend, which not to fear everybody, we've come very far from
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That's just
Did
called
you
being a
start to
teenager.
binge? Because I know that was my issue. Like I remember doing Slim Fast in high school, right? And so that was the protein shakes. But I remember I would, after a couple of days, the binging would surface. But I guess it
So
didn't happen to
honestly,
everybody though.
I did not binge in that like at that point in time.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was so determined that like this was like the solution and like
Right.
if I was thin, I keep my boyfriend and like all this stuff and like
Going
it
crazy.
just it yeah, I like look back
That's
on it and I'm
teenage
like,
girls. Mhm.
I
It's
wish
our
I
Teenage
brains
girls.
are not fully formed, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh,
please.
Mhm.
the
Teenage
furthest
girls.
thing.
Yeah.
The furthest thing. And so that's kind of like those were my formative years of like that was my experience.
Yeah.
And then I of course naturally couldn't sustain that long term.
Of course.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Um I have like a tendency to break things. Like, and when I say break things, I mean break things. So I fractured my back twice. I've broken my feet
Wow.
multiple times, my shins multiple times. Like,
Mm.
Gosh.
Oh, your shin? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, needless to say,
Yeah.
I break things a lot. Like literally almost 3 years ago, you guys, exactly. I'm like just 6 weeks shy of it. I got out of bed and ripped the ligaments in my ankle in half and had to have my entire ankle
Oh
reconstructed
my gosh.
from getting out of bed.
Are you just klutzy? Or
No.
is there, like, an underlying thing there?
Well,
yeah.
you
Do
know,
you need to be on
yeah.
glucosamine?
I'm just saying.
Well,
This is
yeah.
a health
Um,
podcast, we can talk about it.
check back in with me in 3 weeks to see because it was, like,
Okay.
right after it was 3 weeks after I got back from Europe last time that and I am hypermobile, so, like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future a few more diagnoses come down the way because I 'cause I'm hypermobile, my knees, my elbows, they all
Mhm.
hyperextend.
Mm.
So my
Mm.
hypothesis I don't know for sure because I was home alone, my
Yeah.
hypothesis is my knee hyperextended really fast
Mhm.
back, which put too much stress on my ankle because when I tell you guys all I did was stand up, I hadn't even taken a step.
Yeah.
And I shredded my upper and lower ankle, but it was a 2-for-1 surgery, so I saved myself a little money. So bright side,
The bright
there's a
side,
silver
Gianna, there
lining,
you
Silver
go.
lining.
the bright side. But so basically those are my formative years, right? Where like
Yeah.
it is calorie restriction. My mom was trying
Mhm.
so hard to help me. I was on board with it because I was like, this is the way.
Yeah.
And finally I just like got to a point where and I think this quick little side story, I had lost all the weight and I was going to a New Year's Eve party with my friends. My boyfriend was gonna be there, and I remember crying in my parents' basement
Mm,
because even though I'd lost all this weight and I thought that this was gonna be the solution,
Mhm.
I hated everything that was in my closet. I felt like it was all too big. I didn't look right. Like, I'm crying. My mom is trying to make it better by letting me borrow things from her closet, but then I'm
Mhm.
like, "How am I supposed to wear my mom's clothes and be, like, cool?" Like, it just was,
Yeah.
but that's, like, a core memory for me because I'm like, and that goes exactly to the point of it doesn't matter what the number on the scale is. You could
Yeah.
lose all the weight and still be very unhappy in the body that you're in, but so
yes.
those were my formative years, and eventually I got tired of being tired all the time and being hungry all
Sure.
the time and not eating what my friends were eating. So I
Yeah.
started eating food again.
Yeah.
So I gained, a little bit of weight, then had to
When
have
you
my
say you
tonsils out.
started eating food again, can you tell me what you mean by that?
That's wild. You start
Because
eating food, no protein shakes, right?
well, I remember
Yeah,
mhm.
I mean, I was
But
still,
yeah,
so when I was eating 1,200 calories a day, it was, like,
Mhm.
sandwich thins with, like, a specific amount of, like, deli meat and, like, a serving
Mhm.
of veggies. Breakfast was, like,
mm,
a smoothie, like, that's what it was, and so it's just, like, if my friends were going to Panera, I was also
Mhm.
going to Panera, and I was
Yeah.
gonna get a breakfast sandwich from the Panera menu. I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna sit there and watch my friends
You
eat.
were just, like, living life,
Yeah,
like,
I
eating
just got
food
to
like
enjoy.
everybody else would in America, like the way our culture is.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
when we went to the movies, I would have the popcorn at the movies instead of
Mhm.
being like, I guess I'll,
Let
like,
me sneak my
have
protein shake in.
water. Like,
Yeah.
no, I didn't even sneak anything in, I just
Oh my
drank
gosh.
water, and I'm like, "That's so sad, get me a Coke Zero with some lime packets now, please and thank you." I now travel, you guys, I wish I had it up here in my office. I travel with a pocket-size sugar-free coconut syrup and little, like, crystallized lime packets.
I
Oh,
get the
that
lime packets, but where do you get the coconut syrup?
Amazon.
Boom.
oh,
All right,
alright.
hold on.
We will put it in the show notes.
Everybody gets your sugar-free coconut, and they're little, like, I put it in my little, like,
Put the lime in the
what is it?
coconut. Sorry, scroll.
I have put it in my Coke Zero before, and it's delicious. I've put
It's
it in my
so
Pepsi
good.
Zero as well. I am not brand,
Brand
loyal,
specific,
you
that's
know.
funny. I'll do Pepsi if I have to, but, like,
Although, Coke, if we're gonna talk about that, we can talk about that.
Mm,
Listen, we're not Kat and I are in our hoe days. Listen, we could talk about that Coke. You wanna sponsor
even
this podcast?
or with
Coke
liquid
Zero.
death. It's
We
good
love
in
Coke
liquid
Zero.
death too.
I
Mhm.
I'm
Kidding.
a
Go ahead.
big I'm a big Diet Coke and Coke Zero girly, but so I gained some weight back, then had my tonsils out, and this was unfortunate timing because it was March and prom is in May, and I had
Mhm,
just broken up with my boyfriend, of, like, a year and a half, and so I'm like, "Great,
mhm,
I'm gonna, like, have nobody to go to prom with," and, like, this says a lot about me in high school, but I talk about it openly because I'm like, this was me, so it's fine. So this is where, so Kat, earlier when you asked me if I, like, ever, like, binged it all when this was happening, not then, but then we got to this point where, like, I lost, like, 20 pounds in, like, 2 weeks because I was not eating it all after I had my tonsils out. It was a
mhm,
very bad experience. I highly recommend getting your tonsils out if you need to, but for me, it was terrible. Like,
mhm,
I wish they would have come out as a kid, but I got them out at 17.
mhm.
And because I'd lost all this weight and it was right before prom, and I then ended up being asked to prom, I needed to fit in a prom dress. But I was so excited because for the first time in my freaking adult life, I was a size 4, and I
Yeah.
was like,
Girl, wow.
"This is amazing." And, um, I wanna see if I can, like, quickly find the photo of it,
Oh, yeah.
but I was size 4, and I was like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "She is
Of course,
beauty,
I
she is grace, like, this is it, like, I
She
can't
is
believe
beauty,
it."
she is great,
She's
she is
great.
Miss
Like,
This is
United
it.
States.
right? That's literally how I felt, and
Yeah,
now
I
I,
get
like,
it.
look back on it and I'm like, I'm in, like, a typical, like, pink dress that has, like, flowers across the chest, but, like,
Yeah.
I was vibing, like, I
Yeah.
felt I was feeling myself,
Sure.
and but to maintain
As
that
you
weight
should.
loss,
Mhm.
I started skipping meals.
Mhm.
I would take food to school and let my friends eat it so that my mom wasn't picking up on the fact that, like, I wasn't eating it, and, the best way to put this, I get a little emotional talking about this because I had a very good friend, Max, and he's not with us anymore, but he sat next to me every single day at school, and he picked up on it very quickly that I was purposely skipping meals, that I wasn't eating, and he was like, "So here's what we're not gonna do. And he was like, "And if you don't listen, I'm going to tell your parents." And I was very afraid of my parents when my mom's still a little scary, if I'm being honest, like, authority scary, where I'm
I
like,
get
"I
it.
have enough respect for you that you do scare me a little bit."
Yeah.
Um, in the nicest, like, most productive way possible. Um, but I took that, like, very seriously, like, it took him stepping in and being like, "I don't want this for you, like, I want better for you, so, like, you're either gonna get it together or, like, I'm gonna get it together for you." And I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we
okay."
need those friends.
You do.
And
You know?
to this day, I 100% definitely do credit him for kinda stopping that before it got any further,
Mhm.
because, like, I won't lie, I loved the fact that I was finally the size of my
Sure.
friends. I loved the
Yes.
size that like, I loved where I
I
was
get it.
because
I
it
get
made me
it.
feel
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. For sure.
We
And
all wanted to be the size of our friends. Well, most
Sure.
of us that were in a bigger
Yeah.
body, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to go to the sleepover, and when we made a plan change, be able to wear my friend's clothes and not be the one that was still in leggings and a sweatshirt when everybody else is dressed cute, right? But,
I
like,
get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
that's
Like,
such a
I think
specific
that's
experience.
super, super normal, especially as a teenager, right? Like, I don't think that necessarily goes away as an adult.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
So
Moving here.
Back to when you were growing up. So then you feel like you kind of got ahead of it, or you started eating normal. And then what were you in school, like in college
yeah,
around this time?
so I kind of was able to maintain about where I was at. I gained a little bit of weight back, but, like, maybe 10 pounds. Nothing crazy, still fit in my clothes, went to college. Was
Mhm.
very terrified, as I'm sure we all were like, "Oh, you go and it's a freshman 15 and you're
Sure.
doomed."
Right.
So I took
Mhm.
working out very seriously, like, I maintained physical activity, like, and so
Mhm.
I actually didn't gain any weight my freshman year. I
Mhm.
maintained my weight the entire year.
Wow.
Then you know what I did? I went to Europe between freshman and sophomore year, and I gained like 15 pounds in 3 weeks, and
Mhm.
I came home and was like,
And to be clear, 15 pounds in 3 weeks is a lot, but also on a 5'1" frame, right? Like, I think,
"Yeah,
like,
Right.
because I think if someone like me, I'm 5'9". So, like, if someone says 15 pounds to me, while that is a lot of weight, it is very, very different. On my family is little and I am tall. So, like, when
Yes.
they gain 15 pounds, it looks like 30,
yeah,
right? So it's like it just is very different. Like, I think so, like, I,
Mhm.
I can hear people being like 15 pounds, no, no,
And it
no.
no."
also makes me think
5'1"
of
is
the
small. Like,
yeah.
it's a lot, right?
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
also makes me think of The Biggest Loser. You know, if you were
Yeah.
doing all that crash dieting and all
Mhm.
that restriction, you probably had damaged your metabolism like no
Sure.
one's business. So you probably
Absolutely.
picked up weight so fast just because of that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just because of that, and that's exactly what happened,
Yeah.
and so I had the best time in Europe, like, we did
That's
a
good.
cruise, we rented a house, and I came home and was like, "Oh my god, okay,
Yeah.
that's crazy, but, like, no problem, we'll just get back to normal, like, normal
Mhm.
routine, and I'll lose it."
Yeah.
Boy, did that not happen, because then I got mono.
Oh, yuck.
I had mono in high school. It was the worst.
I
Yeah.
actually may have had mono. I had mono already once. So I'm actually one of those unlucky few, which this just makes sense, with my health
I get it. You
history.
have, like, a lot of upper respiratory stuff, like what we were talking about earlier, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I don't actually like other people's germs, so the fact that I got mono is just so cruel because, like, I have no idea where I got it. It went around the freshman dorms, but, like,
Mhm.
I will
I'll tell you
never
where you got it. Hey, hey.
wish I was dating someone at the time, and then we had a really
That's where you got it.
we had a no, I wasn't even seeing him because he wasn't at school with me. We had a really bad breakup, and I tried to be like, "Hey, just so you know, I have mono, so, like, you might wanna get tested," and he was like, "Stop telling people I have mono," and I'm like, "Okay, you clearly think way too much of yourself, promptly F off, like, I am so over you."
Promptly.
I was just trying to be nice so that you didn't
Yeah.
go get, like, other unsuspecting girls sick, like, you can fine, go get somebody else sick, I don't care, they
This
deserved
could
it.
go so many ways.
Literally, I'm like, "You know what? Actually, this is karma. I was trying to be a good person, and I'm done being a good person, so see ya." But so I actually relapsed and got mono for a second time,
Oh, yikes.
which now has actually turned into chronic
Mhm.
Epstein-Barr virus, but So it was the second time that I got mono that then it really just continued spiraling out of control. And basically, in the span of, I feel like the further I get from this, like the harder it is sometimes to remember. But
I
in
get
the
it.
span of, and
Which is
again,
good.
keep in
That's how you
mind,
know you're healing. That's what Dr.
I know.
Toomer says.
I'm
You
like,
know
oh
you're
my God.
healing when you forget. Yeah.
So again, for people listening, I'm 5'1". Like I do not have long legs or a long torso. Like everything's just short. Okay. Like my legs are like 3 feet long on a great day. Um, so in the span of like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, I think it was roughly something like 70 pounds put onto my body.
Mm,
And
right. Up here.
my celiac disease was also triggered at the same time.
Mm,
Mm.
So my body is an entire different shape. It's the biggest it's ever been in its entire life.
yeah.
Like, and I think for a lot of people who've probably had the experience where they see themselves slowly gaining weight, like the scale just kept creeping up and creeping up and creeping up. And then it like passed the 200 mark. And I'm like, how did I get here? Like, I'm not purposely trying. I wasn't like doing anything.
Yeah.
But because the additional autoimmune diseases were triggered and things were popping up, my
Mhm.
inflammation was off the ever loving charts. And
Right.
so my body was just inflamed. But you know what? I did the
Mhm.
work. I realized that and this was part of going to school to become a dietitian, is I realized that all those years of under eating so significantly and essentially
Yes.
overtraining, because I was, for the amount of food that I was eating, I was
Yeah,
overtraining. If
for
I was
sure.
actually eating what I should have been eating, it wouldn't have been overtraining, but relative to what I was doing, I was overtraining. And
Yeah.
so I finally realized, like, oh my God, I really shot it in the foot on that one. And I was like,
Mm,
okay, so we have to fix this. So I spent the better portion of 5 years, roughly, I would say, not dieting at all, just accepting my body for the size that it was, for the weight that it was
Beautiful.
at. I didn't even look at a scale. And I just really focused on trying to work on the health piece and working on the metabolism piece, I guess, more specifically is a
mhm,
better way to say that, because I actually learned how to count macros and I started like doing macro counting in high school.
mhm.
And so it got to a point where I actually, in that period of time, I was not actively trying to lose weight. I wasn't even tracking at that point, and I was able to maintain my weight. And it got to that point where like I was getting married, which was very exciting. COVID derailed that for an extra year, so that added a little extra stress for someone who lived in a body whose weight could fluctuate. If her
Mhm.
insulin resistance was deciding to be a menace,
Yeah.
that was a little extra stressful to not have to be 1 year away from my wedding date to fit in my dress, but 2
Oh,
years
Lord.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, I just, like, sneeze, and my insulin resistance is like, "What can I do for you today?" And I'm like, "Nothing, please leave me
I get it.
alone, like,
Yeah. It's
please
almost like
don't."
obesity is a complex disease. I don't know.
Almost. I mean, it's a really
Almost.
crazy, crazy concept, but,
Yeah.
so in 2019, I was sitting very comfortably around 215 to 220. I was like regularly in that range. I'd maintained there. I had built this beautiful wardrobe where like I felt so like empowered. I felt cute, like I felt fun, sexy, all the things. Like I was living my best life. And like I was very confident in who I was, the body I was in, the work that I'm doing. I'm in my dietetic internship at this point.
Mhm.
And, I find my wedding dress. I go in knowing exactly what I want. I feel beautiful in my wedding dress. I'm like this cute little cupcake, and that's exactly what I wanted it to be. And
Oh.
then, in 2020, or I was able to maintain that. So 2020 comes and goes. I'm able to maintain it, but I do start feeling like a little bit more inflamed. But it kinda comes and goes, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I'm able to maintain my weight. So I get married October of 2021, and I've maintained my weight for 2 years since I bought my dress in November of 2019. I'm still 220 pounds. I'm like, "This is beautiful, wonderful, amazing." I enjoy my first couple months of beautiful wedded bliss, and then the beginning of 2022, I don't know what I did. I looked at the world the wrong way or something like that. I triggered another autoimmune disease that
Oh,
loves
no.
inflammation. And so, markers have come back saying it's lupus, but then sometimes those can fluctuate. So, for all intents and purposes, I've been told it's lupus, but I'm just like, and it does run in my family, my sister, my mom, my aunt. Like, there's a heavy family history, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's that. But I'm like, just like, still in the denial phase of that. We're not thinking about it. I'm really focusing on how can I manage the inflammation in my body, because a lot of us who have had blood work done want our fasting insulin to be like less than 6. Okay, my fasting insulin was chilling in the 30s. I was in so much physical pain. I cried on a plane to London in March of 2022 because my hands were swollen. My whole body was swollen. And again, when we think about like weight gain, if you are someone who's taller, there's more area for it to be dispersed. But basically, between my wedding, October of 2021 and February of 2022, I gained like 25, almost 30 pounds in less than 6 months. Like, that is so painful, and it's all inflammation. My insulin is high, like, and I'm just in pain. And so that's like the very beginning of me being like, okay, like what in the heck am I gonna do here? Because throughout life, people tried to put me on metformin. I hated metformin, and it
Ugh.
did nothing for my PCOS. And to be
But you
very
will poop regularly, I hear.
unfortunately, way too regularly. Like, it made my tummy hurt so bad, and I was like, "Yeah, you can't
Oh,
work
yeah,
in
it
a
does.
hospital and have
Holy
an
moly.
upset tummy your entire shift." So, it's a no for me. But something that I like to be very clear about with people is, like, my insulin was crazy high off the charts, and that's driving my inflammation up super high, but I've never had high blood sugar readings. I've never had an elevated A1C. I've never been pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. This all links back to my PCOS and that insulin resistance, and, like, my body just doesn't work. Like, it just does its own thing, and it's like, "Hope you're having a lovely day," and I'm like,
Yeah.
I would hit you with a brick if I could."
It's so interesting to, like, look back, I think, too, like, on, I talked to so many people, we both do, like, on here, and who, when they were kids, they sort of lived this life of just, like, restriction and yo-yo and all these different things, and you just can't help but wonder, like, how much did that set us on this course that's just not, like, possible anymore, and it worries me so much because, like, I will be telling you, like, listen, one day I was, like, scrolling and I come across this like podcast people, because anybody can have podcasts, you know. And this guy had a podcast. He was talking to this other guy, and he was like, "Listen, like my daughter is a teenager. She was getting kind of hippie, and I put her on Redditruitide,
Oh god.
and now she's doing great." So what?
He
Like,
really said she's getting hippie.
yes,
I can hear that. You know what?
I'm
It's
like,
so crucial, that male
what?
gaze.
My
But that
head's
male gaze is
exploding, you
so
know.
crucial, especially as, like, a young girl. Like, if
I
your
know.
father says something like that to you, that
Yeah.
is it is
And then puts you on a peptide that hasn't been approved for anyone at all yet. Like this, you know what I mean? Like, you're a kid, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
like
Well, and
it
it's
scares
also
me.
it still goes on. My point in that is it still goes on. Like, this is embedded in our society. It is embedded in our culture, like from American perspective. It
yeah.
is. This is what it's like. And so,
Agreed,
like,
it
you
is.
can't help but wonder, like I want to, that's why I wanted, one of the reasons I do this podcast, right? Is like I want us to get ahead of that, right? I want all
Yeah.
of us who have kids and then our kids that have kids to like know about this so that shit doesn't happen anymore. Cause
Yep.
it's, you know, it's a big dream, but you know, I think we can hope, because I mean, like, who knows if we could have been on, like you said, a different path, a different course, you know?
Agreed, agreed.
So when you decided to take Mounjaro in 2022, had you or at first did, like, what did you feel? Like, did you feel something right away? Don't even think about like the weight loss, but like what did you
Yeah.
feel sort of like within your body, within your brain, anything different?
Yeah, so I would say actually my journey is a little bit different than probably what you like normally see online, because the highest I've ever gone is 7.5 milligrams, and it was only for 6 months, and I'm actually back on 5 now. I'm gonna
Great.
do a small science experiment on myself in the coming months with my doctor's supervision, of course.
Sure.
But um so I approached my doctor and was like, "I wanna try this," and she was like, "Yep, I think it will be great." And I'm lucky that originally my insurance was like, "Yep, no
Mhm.
problem, fill it."
That's
And I'm like,
fantastic.
Yeah.
"Won't ask any questions. We'll just fill it. Thank you very much." And
Mhm.
so when I started it, I had a kind of a rough start because 'cause I'd been on it for 3 weeks, and then I got out of bed and ripped all my ankle ligaments. And
Mhm.
this was before they had guidance on stopping it before surgery.
Mm. Oops.
So I never stopped mine before surgery. Or
Yeah.
maybe I, like no, I don't think I did.
I mean,
Yeah.
really, it's just with like, I mean, you were on a low, I don't know, like, what do I know? I ain't no doctor, but like, you're on a low dose. It really is just for the anesthesia, right? Just so that you don't, you know,
Well, yeah.
You don't
asphyxiate
vomit,
me
because
with
that could
food,
be
you know, like, yeah,
dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
that's
you
really
can
it.
you can aspirate and definitely die. So
exactly,
it's
exactly.
good that I
You
didn't do
stop
that.
before. Okay, thank you, friends. Love you. Bye. There's your PSA.
So So when I first started it, I was like, okay, don't really like notice a difference, right? 2.5. Then I had a small disruption with surgery because then it was afterwards where like I was like so afraid of potentially getting nauseous because I like my doctor was like, people do get really nauseous. And I am a Zofran girly. I have
Mhm.
a Zofran prescription because I get
Mhm.
car sick driving 20 minutes to my parents' house. Sometimes I'm
When you're driving
driving
or when you're in the passenger seat?
both. I've made myself
Oh
car
my
sick.
gosh,
And I'm like,
Gianna,
"Oh my
that's
god."
hilarious.
I'm like, "This is so like, I am so embarrassing." But actually, my doctor was like, "We really should see if something's off in, like, your ears or something because it's
Sure.
not normal to get this motion sick." And I'm like, "Hmm." I've had many concussions when I was in high school to the
Oh,
point where, like, a doctor told me that I shouldn't ski or snowboard anymore
oh, wow.
because of, like,
Wow.
the risk of being taken out. He was like, "You've hit your noggin too many times." And
You
I'm like,
hit your
"Fair enough."
noggin.
I did hit my noggin too many times. So I'm like, maybe it's something with that. But I'm like, a girl can only do so much at once. Like I'm tackling my biggest problem, which is my insulin resistance, my PCOS. So I did a month of 2.5 and then I went to 5. So basically by beginning of December 2022, I was at 5 milligrams and I rocked it there. And I'll be honest, like I, like, only got on the scale, so I knew what my weight was gonna be at the
Mhm.
beginning,
Yeah.
but, like, it definitely wasn't at my highest weight,
Mhm.
and I wasn't doing it for weight loss. I
Mhm.
just wanted my dang insulin
Yeah.
level to come down because I knew that's what was driving my discomfort. Like, it
Mhm.
felt like I've never had anybody while I was awake, so I, like, can't tell you, but if I imagine somebody scraping my bones,
Yeah.
that's what it felt like.
I
My
get it.
hips were on fire, my femurs were on fire, like,
Yeah.
everything just burned.
Yeah.
My hands were so swollen that, like, my wedding ring didn't fit. Like,
Yeah.
everything just hurt. I was just in pain. Um, and so that was the first thing that I really, like, started noticing is, like,
Mhm.
I was like, "Wait, inflammation's coming down. I'm
Mhm.
sleeping better at night. I'm not as in as much pain when I'm flying."
Mhm.
And
Ooh.
something to know about me is I'm really bad at staying in the same spot for very long periods of time.
Mhm.
Like, I have my home base here in Colorado. I have a home and a husband and a dog and all those wonderful things. Everybody except for my sister lives here. But,
Mhm.
like, I'm at the airport.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plus sides with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plus sides with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details.
Once a month at least, at a
Wow.
minimum. I just got back from Europe literally 48 hours ago, and I'll be back at the airport in 10 days, and then after that, I'll be back at the airport 12 days
And then a
after
few
that,
months
so, like
ago, you were going to Europe, like when I met you in DC,
yes,
right? Like you're just,
yeah.
you're a doer, you know?
So,
Yeah.
we're just bopping around all over the place, but
Yeah.
for someone who travels as much as I do, the fact that my and so this is actually a big one, the fact that my feet would swell to the point where I couldn't bend my toes and I had to duct tape my Birkenstocks because my feet swelled so much on a flight that I couldn't get them in my shoes.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
I understand. I know what you're talking about because I when I was pregnant with my son at the end, oh, I was regaining really, really hard, and I would wear Crocs, like you know how much room there is in a Croc, and I was the same kind of thing. I couldn't even get my foot to stay in the Croc because it
Mhm.
was
Mm.
so big and swollen. So I had to get special permission from my doctor to go home and put my feet up so that they would not swell. I couldn't work all day long at the end of my pregnancy, and that was like honestly really my only problem in the pregnancy. But like because I had obesity and insulin resistance and all the things, right?
Mhm,
Like, and
mhm,
so it's
mhm.
really awful. Like, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. I know many of our listening audience can understand that too. Did you feel like when you started the medicine that that reduced very quickly? Really
Mhm,
quickly?
yeah.
Yeah.
Within the first couple
Amazing.
months and granted, I was not on any airplanes in the first couple months
Yeah.
because I wasn't even walking. So and again, that's like this also very weird parallel of my first couple months on a GLP-1, I couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive, like,
Oh, no.
but I will say I think that my recovery went I mean, if I had already been on the medicine for longer, I think my recovery could have been even better, but I
Yeah.
do think my recovery from major orthopedic surgery actually went better because I was on the GLP-1, because my insulin levels were coming down, because I
Mm.
was improving inflammation-wise, and, you know, something for me that I mentioned earlier is, like, I was always hungry as a kid.
Yeah.
I was always hungry as an adult. I actually don't have any GLP-1 in me right now because I didn't take it while I was in Europe, and I have to take my shot tonight.
Wonderful.
But I, like, today was like, "Oh my god, I just ate and I'm hungry," and then I'm like, "Oh,
That's
yeah,
why.
this
Yeah.
makes sense." I have not done my shot in, like, 3 weeks, so I'm like, "This makes
Yeah.
sense why I'm hungry," but that I would say probably the food noise, the hunger
Yeah.
piece almost immediately was
Almost
silenced for me,
immediately.
and I was like, "This feels very similar when I started medicine for my ADHD," and my brain just turned off and
Yeah.
everything was quiet, and I'm like, "Wait a second, is this how people feel?" And I was like, once again, okay, this isn't my fault. Like my body just does different things. And I'm like, okay, this is great. So I'll be honest, I was that kid in their early 20s, mid 20s that was like stocking up on compression socks because I swelled so much when traveling.
Mm.
And I travel now with no compression socks.
That's great. Yeah.
No, none at all.
At what point were you like, if I know what I know, right? And we're going to do your book now. If I know what I know about like food, right? And good ways to eat and nourish your body, plus this, like what, because clearly these are the dots connecting. Clearly, this book is those dots,
Yeah.
right? Of you going, what? Let me tell you, right? So I really want to understand that piece of it. And then we'll go into some questions and dig into your book a little bit so that our audience can understand how to possibly get it. And then apply this to their journey and their lives. Like we call it a journey, right? Like when we first started, because you're going to do, we had hashtag GLP1 journey, but it wasn't even that. It was actually Mounjaro journey, hashtag Mounjaro journey. That was like the hashtag, which
Oh
we
yeah,
can't
I
even use
remember
anymore.
that.
Yeah, but that was the one, right? And that's what everybody did, and that's how we tracked it, and it was fine. They didn't care and all the things. But I think what I've learned, and I think a lot of your story aligns with this. This doesn't have anything to do with weight loss.
Hmm.
But I thought that the first year I was on it, I was like, this is a weight loss journey, Manjaro
A
journey.
hundred and
And
fifty percent.
soon we're going
Yeah.
to get to, maintenance and you know what I mean? All this different stuff.
It's
And what I learned,
weigh-in day, and it's all of
it's
this.
weigh-in day, it's shot day. Like everything on TikTok back in the day was all about accountability. I ate this, I weighed this, I did my
Here's
shot,
the
like,
link in the day.
and that shit'll stop scroll, giving yourself a shot on the internet. I'm telling you, and the thing like that's something that I think that is really important to understand about this journey, that it's hard for me sometimes because people still start this journey thinking that, right? And I
Yep.
see them, but I know they got to come to it in their own time, right? So that's what kind of I do the podcast. If we build it, they will come, right? They'll come,
Yes.
we'll come here, we'll talk about it, they'll learn, and then they'll connect with all these great healthcare providers like yourself so they can understand things at a deeper level because this is a forever thing. And I don't mean it's a forever thing like when you take like, and I hate to say it like this, but this is the way I think it resonates with people because of the misinformation. GLP-1s are not crack. It's not like you take it and then if you stop taking it, you're going to go through withdrawals and your body's never going to work right again or anything like that. Your body didn't work right to begin with, right? And this medicine addresses that, and then weight loss follows. Like that is what happens. Whether you have obesity or diabetes or any of these different things, it's managing the metabolic dysfunction. And I think that people don't understand that. And then I think people like myself in general, like I was like, all right, like at some point I was like, okay, it's not about that. So then it's not about food. So then it's not about restrictions. So then it's not about diet and exercise. Like, what the hell is it about? It's about everything. Right.
Mhm.
So because it's forever, it's managing and being the healthiest you that you can be. Right. And like whatever that equals 5'1", 200, right? 5'1", 250, whatever that is. Right.
Yeah.
So like at some point for you, I think that there was a connection. Right.
Yeah.
I want to know what that was. And then when you decided like, I need to write a book about this, and then if you just tell me that piece, then we're going to dig into some of the questions that we told you we would talk about. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will try to keep this as, like, condensed of an
Sure, yeah.
answer as
Yes,
possible,
right.
but, um,
Now we're going to get into the booky sciencey stuff.
yeah.
you know?
So, I think, like, realistically for me, when I realized, like, I kind of started thinking about GLP-1s myself because I saw another dietitian share about them, I was like, "Wait
Mm.
a second." I work with so many women predominantly who have PCOS that would benefit from these medications. Like, if this could help me, think about all of my clients that I've had, because realistically, I work as a dietitian more in the like health coaching space, where like you're getting my knowledge and my experience as a dietitian, but like I said, I'm combining the nutrition piece, the fitness piece, the mindset piece. Like, my clients check in with me every week. They're in my app. They have a check-in that's every week. They fill out all their info, and then they hear me talk back to them for like 20 minutes sometimes of like, okay, let's talk through this. I want to challenge you to like think about this more. So at this point in my journey, I've been a dietitian for over 2 years. I've already worked with literally over like 200 women at this point. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, think about how much of a difference this can make. And I was like, think about how much of a difference it could make if I actually started speaking to this population. And I actually had another RD recently call me like one of the original like GLP-1 dietitians that existed on social media. And I actually was a TikTok resistor. I did not join TikTok until the end of 2022. And the funniest part is I joined to share my ankle journey. So like my best content that still performs to this day is my like, get ready with me for
What is an
surgery.
ankle journey?
It literally
Like
just
when
was
she
like,
destroyed her ankle.
yeah, it was just get ready with me for surgery, 1
Okay.
week post-op update, me in my pajamas washing my face being like, "This was the worst thing ever," and, like, I didn't expect that this would be terrible.
Yeah.
So, basically, it just was me being like, "If I talk about this, I think more people could benefit from it," and honestly, for me as a dietitian, I love being well-versed in multiple areas, and everybody in the freaking world is like, you must niche down," and nothing ever felt supernatural for me. Like, I've spent literally thousands and thousands of dollars on, like, functional medicine training programs and continuing education and things like that,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I mean, to be very honest, like, the one thing that's so easy for me to talk about is obesity medicine. It's GLP-1s,
Yeah.
it's people with, like, other women with PCOS, because I literally, like, eat, breathe, sleep PCOS. So, I was like, "I think I could do a
So
lot of good
fun.
with this."
Yeah.
And for me, social media, like I've mentioned through this, it's its own, like, beast to, like, tackle for me,
Yes.
where, like, if I actually enjoy what I'm talking about, it's much easier to show up and do it. And so I was like, "Let me try this and see how this feels." And then I was like, "Oh, I love this." And like I said, I have my own podcast.
Yeah.
Name change maybe incoming. I don't know. I can't decide if we're changing the name on it or not. But currently it's called Game Changing Health. And like I said, it was just supposed to be about all health topics.
Mhm.
I have personal trainers coming on, certified strength and conditioning coaches, other functional medicine providers, nurse practitioners, all these things, just so we can chat.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
let's just talk, like, what's your philosophy? How do you help people? I
Yeah.
had postpartum people coming on, like,
Mm.
just like a whole variety of things. And then, like I said, it was just like that one specific podcast episode that I was like, oh, people actually care about like what my experience has been on my medicine. So like maybe I should start talking about this more.
Mhm.
And then as I started then consuming more content around GLP-1s, I was like, oh no, we have got to put some actual good information out there. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
ever watched Parks and Rec, where like Leslie Knope is like, all I have are facts and science, and everybody
Mhm.
hates facts and science. And sometimes that's how it feels, because
Yeah.
my content is not viral. I am not a big creator by any means. I'm a very small fish in a very big pond,
Mhm.
because I'm not posting like the viral hooks or
Sure.
clickbait or anything like that. Like,
Mm.
I just am posting legitimate information and like hoping that
Mhm.
like somebody who needs it like will benefit from it. And so that's been my philosophy of content creation this whole time.
Yeah.
And I could not tell you how this publisher found me,
Yeah.
but I did not pitch the publishing house for a book. I
Mhm.
was approached, and I
Yeah.
actually thought I was being pranked to the point where I pretty much wasn't replying to them, and they were like, "Hey, we messaged you." And I'm like, "Oh, are you a real person? I thought you were a bot."
Yeah.
LOL. So I like
LOL.
I look up this editor.
LOL.
So I
LOL.
look I look up this girl on LinkedIn, and I'm like, "Oh shit, this." Oh, sorry. I don't know if we can swear on
Oh,
here.
yeah. Clearly, you haven't
What?
watched the show a lot. We let it all hang out here. I
Yeah,
usually
Kim the
apologize to my
F-bomb
dad after
Carlos.
this, though.
Yep.
So
Kim the F-bomb
cool.
Carlos.
Sorry. Well, honestly, I try really hard not to, because then sometimes I notice like then it translates over and I'm talking to a patient and I like say something and I'm like, "Oh,
No, I get it.
sorry."
Yeah.
Which for
I
most
like
people, they don't care because it's authentically me, but for some people that's like not their cup of tea.
nah, you can say
But
seriously.
um
Yeah.
I just basically was like, "Oh, you must be not a bot." So I looked her up on LinkedIn, was like, "Oh shit, you're a real person." So I emailed her back and was like, "Let's talk about this." And kind of, behind the scenes, like I was telling you guys earlier, um, Nani is my mom's mom. She was my best friend for all intents and purposes.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, she was diagnosed with cancer last year and she did pass away last year. And so this was all coming about kind of at the worst possible time because I got this message basically like right before Labor Day of 2024 being like, "Hey, we want to talk about this." And I'm like, "Haha, very funny. Ashton Kutcher, where are you popping out with like my
Mhm.
punked like
Yep.
like
Yeah.
camera?" And then I was like, "Oh wait, you're like a real person. Okay, let me get on a call with you."
Yeah.
So they tell me about themselves, they tell me what they're looking for. They were like, "We have seen your podcast." So I'm like, finally the podcast is paying off for something. Because really the podcast is just like me chit chatting because I like to chit chat. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool, potentially amazing, like an amazing opportunity.
Mhm.
And if you would have told me in like my bachelor's, even my master's, that I would write a book, I would have literally laughed in your face so hard
Sure. I get
because
it.
I was the, like, college kid that figured out what I needed on my paper without
Mhm.
any of the grammar, spelling, or punctuation points because I'm not gonna go proofread my paper.
Mhm.
It is what it is when I write it. Imma spell check it on, like, Google Docs, and, like, that is that. Like, there is no I'm not going back. So,
Yeah.
like, the fact that, like and I hated writing papers. Like, that just was not my thing. I like talking, I like
Mhm.
podcasts, I like
Mhm.
content creation. A a paper, let alone an entire freaking book, I was like,
Yeah.
but this would be really cool, and I feel like I could do it. Um, but like I said, it was
And you
coming at
did.
And you did do it, and it's
And
great,
you
we
and
did
it's
it.
did.
way more than 175 plus,
Yeah,
which I will tell you from a marketing perspective, this is actually quite brilliant. I do +1 a lot, like, like, to grab attention, but I think
mhm,
it's really great, and there's, like, so many different tips and tricks and strategies in here. I think, like, what I feel like people would really wanna understand, especially who can't afford a dietitian, right? Or,
yeah,
don't have access to that. They hear a lot about macros, and that's something that I would say even after all of the diets that I've ever been on, and I've been on all of them,
mhm,
that I don't even know about. So I was hoping you could kind of explain that to us and then explain how that can kind of go hand in hand, like
yeah.
thinking about macros with your GLP-1 and your journey to health, because it's not a weight loss journey.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think the first thing that I like to say for anybody that's considering tracking food of any kind, whether you're gonna track calories or macros,
Mhm.
it's an educational tool that is not meant for long-term use, in my opinion. That's, like, my philosophy as a dietitian. I think tracking can be a really helpful tool to actually have a better understanding of, like, the density of foods. Like,
Mhm.
I could look you could run to your kitchen right now and come back to me with a plate, and I could tell you approximately how much each thing was, like, serving wise. You could go weigh it, and I could guarantee that I'm gonna be within an ounce on everything because I've had that practice. Not because I'm a dietitian, but just, like, I've had that
Mhm.
practice of, like, measuring out my food and, like, you get to learn kind of, like, by eyeballing, like, that is about 4 ounces of chicken. So, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I haven't personally tracked macros in years now because I practiced it for so long that I can now
Mhm.
look at a plate and be like, "Yeah,
That's good for
I'm
me.
I'm
That
I'm
works
right
for
about
me.
here."
But when you work with like one of your clients and they are going to track macros, like how do you figure that out with them? And what does that
Yeah.
equal? You know?
So, you can do it a couple different ways, and I
Maybe
think
tell us what macros are.
yeah, let's start with that. So,
Let's start
macros
there.
are just short for macronutrients. So, we have 3 major macronutrients. For people listening that have some background, they might be like, "There are 4," which, like, you're technically correct. Alcohol is technically a macronutrient,
Whoa.
but we're
Woo!
not focusing on
Yeah.
that, you guys. We're focusing on our 3 main macronutrients:
Okay.
proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And so, these are our 3. And something important to note is every single gram of protein and carbs has 4 calories per gram. And then fats has 9 calories per gram. And so that's important to know because I feel like a lot of times people don't understand the connection between calories and macros, where I'm
Mhm.
like, literally, it's just a more specific breakdown of calories
Right.
because
Okay.
essentially, if I say I want you to eat 120 grams, I'm not doing head math. I vehemently am
Yeah.
against head math. But if I say, okay, Kat, I want you to eat 120 grams of protein per day for whatever your goals are, multiply that by 4, that's 480 calories that are coming from protein. But you
Mhm.
still are then going to get other calories from carbs and fats. And
Mhm.
so essentially, when you're thinking about setting a protein goal, carb goal, and fats goal, that's essentially setting your macros. And so you have a target. Me as a dietitian, I do it where I like to actually give people a range because we're not robots.
Sure.
We need some flexibility.
Mhm.
Um, where we set like a range of these targets. But at the end of the day, what that adds up to is your overall calories. So you can do it many different ways. You could be as specific as literally just tracking proteins, carbs, and fats. And as long as you're hitting those targets, you're hitting your overall calorie target because it will add up.
Mhm.
Now, not everybody is meant to track all 3, and if you've never done that before, I find that that can be extremely overwhelming. So where I kind of like to do it like a step ladder where, like, if you've never tracked before, just start tracking your food. Just,
Mm.
like, start putting it in an app
You meet
somewhere.
people that have never tracked before?
Actually, a
'Cause
lot of
that
people.
blows my mind.
Yeah,
That have obesity?
yeah,
Ever? They've
yep.
never tracked anything?
They've done,
Points?
like, Weight
No
Watchers points and
points?
things like that. Points,
Mhm.
points, yes.
Okay.
Um, but, like, to actually ever, like, track in, like, an app like MyFitnessPal or
Yeah,
Chronometer or Lose It, My Macros
yeah.
Plus, like, there are so many people that, like, were
Oh my
scarred by basically
Well,
points
I'm
and, like,
definitely
Weight
scarred by it.
Watchers.
It's why I don't wanna do it anymore, but
Yeah,
I do think that there gets to a certain place, like, I don't know, maybe not everybody. Me on my journey where I'm like, I want my body to feel strong and look strong. I'm not concerned about being skinny. I want to be strong. And,
yes.
like, that's, like, my goal right now, and so I'm like, I feel like I should consider more a different type of thing. Or now that I'm getting older, right, and I'm going through perimenopause and I'm doing HRT, I feel like things have to change for me again. And I think as we continue to age, when we get to these next, like, what are decades in our lives, it does feel like we need to continually adjust, especially if we have a chronic disease, whether it's being treated with the GLP-1 or not. Like, it seems like that's a discussion we should continue to have with our provider, which is one of the reasons I really like your book and like what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that that makes a lot of sense, but it blows. I always learn something new, different perspective, because you get in this zone and you think everybody's had the
Yeah.
same experience as you, and it's just not true,
Not
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, and I will say actually, like, a lot of times, and I feel like especially with obesity, a lot of people are like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's because 'cause they're over-consuming food, they must be eating
Yes.
in excess," and I'm like, "Nope." Majority of women that I work with are under eating so significantly that, like,
Mhm.
and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Because we're not taught this, right? Like, you
Yeah.
either have to seek it out yourself or be working with someone who's like, "Hey, let me tell you this." The amount of women who I've had to be like, "So you're not gonna like me for a little bit, but I promise it's gonna get better. You just
Mhm.
have to trust me." But, like, that's scary to think about sometimes when you're like,
Mhm.
"What?" But so
Yeah.
I kind of have, like I said, this, like, step case. So if you've never tracked before, just start tracking calories. So you get used to, like, measuring out your portions, putting it on a scale or measuring cups or whatever.
Ugh.
If you already have that, you can go more into, like, a calorie and protein target because I think it's a
Mhm.
lot easier to be like, and I think a lot of people in the GLP-1 community talk about that a lot where they're like,
Yeah.
"We have a protein goal, we must hit our protein goal," and I'm like, "You go, girl, get that
Yeah.
protein."
Get
However,
it.
can we also please talk about, like, fiber and making sure you're getting adequate carbohydrates and
Mhm.
fats because 'cause they're very important for things like sex hormones and energy and things like that.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
very like, I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole forever, it's, like, very complex,
That's
but
okay, you don't have to, we got the book.
you have the book,
Rabbit
and I
hole.
do I talk about it in the book where, like, people can figure out, like, what their overall calorie goal could be or, like, should be themselves, like,
Mhm.
the equations are in the book, you can do the math with a
Mhm.
calculator, I would recommend, but we have recommended percentage targets for protein each day, we have recommended percentage targets for carbs each day, like, for example, the lowest your carb intake should go is 45% of your daily calorie intake, which,
Mhm.
like, a lot of people don't actually hit, we're usually under, and
Yeah,
fat should only be 20 to 30% at the highest, and a lot of people are over, and
sure.
so everybody's a little bit different, but generally speaking, like, protein and calories, and then kind of transitioning away from looking at calories and just focusing on proteins, carbs, and fats. And I think, like I said, it can be a very beneficial educational tool to really learn, like, the different value of things, how you
Mhm.
can build a plate and what that looks like.
Mhm.
I think for someone who's had a negative experience with tracking before, like with Weight Watchers
Mm.
or,
Yeah.
previous things, like, sometimes people have tracked macros before and it's gone very poorly because it became
Mhm.
obsessive and very unhealthy, and they couldn't go out
Yes.
to dinner with their friends, and, like, that is not it. That's not when it's an educational tool. That's when we have to take a step back and say, "Hey, our relationship with food, not in a spot to track right now. Like, this is not beneficial for us." And I think that's where not to be like, this is where it's good to work with a dietitian, but like, this is where it's good to work with a dietitian. And I've had people before where we've been working together and I'm like, and we're pausing tracking, or we're pausing on the scale. I call it scale jail. Like, we're going to scale jail. We're going to tracking jail. Like,
Mhm.
it's going behind bars. We're not touching it. We need to work through this side of it, where sometimes that's like, we're going to therapy and we're going to talk
Mhm.
about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And other times it's like,
Great.
it takes somebody else to be like, okay, like I have people that I work with on a regular basis who did have really negative experiences with tracking points before.
Sure. Sure.
And they now can track macros in a healthy way
That's good.
periodically. They
Yeah.
don't track all the time, but a lot of what that process looks like to get there is that weekly conversation of like, okay, hey, Gianna, I recognized on Saturday I wanted to basically like lie about what I was tracking because I just ate so much and I'm like, pause, let's really dive into that. And we go through and we talk about like what happened, how are we feeling, what made us want to like basically lie on our tracking. And a
Mhm.
lot of it is related back to previous like shame or bad experiences that we've had.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no shame here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's essentially like a very quick explanation of like what
Yeah.
macros are. I think for people who take a GLP-1, if you are someone who wants to try it or you're in a good spot with food, it can be a really good educational tool. I also think though, it's kind of like learning to ride a bike or
Mhm.
learning to swim. None
Mhm.
of us just automatically knew how to swim or ride a bike.
Mhm.
You had floaties, you had swim lessons, you had,
Right.
what are those things that go on the back of the bike? Training wheels.
Training wheels.
Training wheels.
Yeah.
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 And so it's kind of the same of like, it's a new skill.
Yeah.
You have to learn it. It takes practice and it's okay if it's not perfect. And
Mhm.
again, that's why I like to use ranges for flexibility, take days off of tracking. I don't believe in tracking on vacations, holidays, celebrations. Like, you
Mhm.
don't need to track every single thing that goes into your body all the time.
Mhm.
Anybody tells you that you do, they suck, in my opinion. Just to be very honest.
Listen, my dietitian Gianna said you suck. So
Yeah, that's right. I think, I think that's really important to think about is like we've had people say like sort of memories over macros. I've heard people say that before. And like definitely in our community, people are focused on how do we handle side effects. And I think that's sort of where a lot of times the conversation sort of stops, right? It's how do I handle side effects? What do I do when I regain? I'm at a stall and like all of these different things, but there's so much more to this conversation, hence this podcast, hence your business, right? That is important to understand, and I think like all the tips and tricks are important because there are so many things that you probably didn't even think to ask about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we're thinking about your book, what would you say is like your favorite section? The one that you were like, oh, that's my heart. Like that's what hit for me. It's what hit for other people, or maybe some of your clients like the best. Like, what do you think is the moment? You know?
I mean, okay, I'll be honest. I think so there's like 5 big chapters in the book. There's
Mhm.
like a side effect chapter, the nutrition blueprint chapter, the basics chapter, the lifestyle chapter, and then there is the end of the book where I've gotten a lot of questions about the end of the book because it's called transitioning off GLP-1s,
yeah.
Mhm.
where fun fact, I didn't even think to include this in the book originally. The publisher
Mhm.
had to be like, "Hey, what about people coming off?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah."
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, "Wait, that makes sense." Some of us lose access to it. Some of
Mhm.
us aren't taking it forever. I'm like, "You can pry my medicine from my cold, dead hands, like,
Yeah.
try me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, very cliche for me to say as a dietitian. I think the nutrition chapter, the
Mhm.
nutrition blueprint chapter is my favorite
Okay.
because I kinda have a saying and I say it, like, on social media, I say it with my clients, like, a lot of times with GLP-1 medications, if we're having a side effect, chances are it's something that we are or aren't doing. Like,
Yeah.
usually it's
Yeah.
something that we are causing by either doing something or not doing something. And I think that we can manage so much through the nutrition side of things, and that's not necessarily, like, counting macros because there are a lot of people who take a GLP-1 successfully and they'll never track a day in their life,
Yeah.
which I love that for them.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
But if you're someone coming to me that is like, "I am stalled," I'm like, okay, well, what does life look like?" And you're someone who is hydrated and sleeps well and is not very stressed and, like, everything checks out where it's like,
Sorry. I'm like, who's that?
I know. It's me. Honestly, I
Do
don't
you
really
know anybody like that?
I have, like, 2 clients right now
2
that I'm like,
clients.
"Your stress
Sorry.
levels are, like, of my dreams. Like, I want to be as unstressed as you."
Yeah.
But I
Sorry.
do not have that
Squirrel.
luxury. we're all like stress basket cases over here sometimes,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's in those moments where I'm like, okay, well, like, let's actually eat a little bit more. And then
Yeah.
they actually like start seeing the scale go down again. Or I'm like, let's change up the frequency in which we're eating. So, and I just think too, like in the United States specifically, I can't speak to other countries because I didn't grow up there. I didn't like go to school there, but in the United States, we really are not taught much about nutrition. We aren't taught much about our bodies. And then a lot of us who are given these medications aren't really taught like what they do for
Mhm.
us and how they impact signaling pathways in our body. Like
Mhm.
a lot of us are just like, here's your prescription, see you
Yeah.
in a month to see how it's going,
Hence the
which
TikTok community, right? That's what I was saying. Like the doctors don't have the time or the know-how or the patience or the staff to be able to do any of those things. So then we
yep,
just have this gap and it's us.
yep.
Just us. Just us. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's coming to save us. You know what I mean?
Nope,
Just
and you
us.
just have to
You know,
figure it out, and, like,
we just save ourselves.
so that was, like, a big driver too of, like, for this project, it's the publisher who originally was like, "We're kinda
Mhm.
wanting it in tip form," and if you can't tell, I love to talk, so I'm like, "How do I do
Same.
this?" They were like, "We want, like, 51,000 words." I think I delivered, like, 68,000 or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Sorry, hope your editing team has
Well,
fun."
but if it's going to be comprehensive, it needs to be comprehensive, right? Like it's not meant to be quick tips and tricks, like because they can get that
Mhm.
anywhere. Like and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be from somebody that's educated, right?
Speaking of your comprehensive, because we're gonna go deeper than protein here.
Yeah,
You
let's go.
mentioned omega threes.
Yep.
Um, being discerning about what is in your multivitamins, your daily vitamins. Um, and I think you also mentioned the seeds and the nuts. Those are the things that stood out to me because, we're nuts. Also, because I am kind of fish averse. I
Mhm.
don't like it unless maybe once in a while I'm in the mood to make it. My
Not
husband
even
is so
sushi?
tired of salmon. Like
Mm,
we can't do salmon. So
crazy.
if I do like say a halibut steak once in like 6 months, what are some other like areas to
Yeah.
get your omega 3s? Because I want to push that in here. Oh, and also your fats. Let's talk about all like these vitamins, minerals, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's honestly so fun fact, it's like about 12 to 16 ounces of salmon per week if you wanna get your omega-3s in from food.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah.
lot. Dang. No, I'll take a
12
five.
ounces of salmon?
Twelve,
That's like
yeah.
A
two
lot.
two
It's
pieces, right?
crazy as people with obesity be like, "That's a lot of food." It is, like, it's hard to get it all in.
No,
Yeah?
I've never had an issue with not getting my
Never.
enough calories in. That's
Right.
usually
I know,
no
it's
matter what, but yeah. So
sorry.
come on.
Personally,
So
Digress.
what else? Where else can we get omega 3s
Yeah.
besides salmon? Sorry.
yeah, okay,
Oh,
so
is it only? And you know what? Is it only deep water or ocean fish, or is it all fish with the omega 3s?
tuna, salmon, mackerel, you could not pay me to eat sardines or anchovies, but both of those work.
Yeah.
Those are the big ones. Oysters too. So not like you're not gonna really get it from
Yes.
like your like mahi or anything like
Sorry, but
that. Like
oysters look like big boogers. I'm not eating them.
Oysters,
I won't even
big
touch one. They freak me out.
oysters freak you out. Yeah.
There have been a lot of Friends episode jokes in this podcast tonight. I watch it too much.
So okay, so the omega-3 supplementation,
Mhm,
I'm not a dietitian that's overly like, "Oh my gosh, we all must supplement all these things," because,
mhm.
I don't know about you guys, but, like, it hurts to spend money on supplements sometimes, like,
Sure.
it's expensive, and it can
Yes.
add up really quick, so
That's
you're
so
never gonna
annoying. Have to
yeah,
take
and then
them
you have
all
to
every
remember to
day.
take them, yep, mhm,
Yeah.
and, like, I can barely remember to just, like, put a full outfit on every day, so, like, it gets there. So, when I talk about omega-3 supplementation in the book,
Mm,
if you're someone who doesn't like fish or doesn't eat fish regularly, you're probably someone who could benefit from it. You
Mhm.
can actually get labs done to see so that
mhm.
you know, but non-fish sources of omega-3s, my 2 favorite ones are flax seeds and chia seeds because you can
Heard this
blend these into,
All
like, a
over.
smoothie
Mhm.
so easy.
Yes.
And I think too, something that I talk about, I, like, actually about, like, flipped my phone off of a ledge and, like, never picked it up again when I saw someone on social media being like, "Smoothies are terrible if you're on a GLP-1," and I was like, "I'm going to smack you." And it was like it was a physician, and I'm
Yeah.
like, squeeze me.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if we have really low appetite or we're nauseous and we don't really wanna eat something, a smoothie can be a
Yeah.
great way to get a lot of calories in and not
Yeah.
a lot of density.
Yeah.
But putting some
Also, sometimes
flaxseed
they'll
in,
put protein in smoothies. Like, that's a
yeah,
thing too.
like, they're great
Mhm.
options. If anybody ever
Yeah.
tells you that, they're wrong, and you can tell them that I said that.
Right.
I have
GLP-1
in
dietitian.
I have in many instances, I should make this into a t-shirt for myself. I have messaged because I girl boss Too Hard to the Sun outside of being a dietitian in the nonprofit world. And in this role, sometimes I'll message the executive director and be like, in case anybody says that I said this, I did, and I meant it.
Just to get ahead of it.
Yeah, because I know they're gonna email and complain about me, but, like, I meant it.
Okay. Well,
And she backs me up. She's like, "Oh, no, I think it's fine." I provide all the receipts, so, like, I'm in the right. Like, I did it, but I think flax seeds and chia seeds are really nice because easy to put into a smoothie. You don't even know they're there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Chia seeds, easy to put in your overnight oats, like, easy to just toss in
Mhm.
to a lot of things without thinking about it, and
Yeah.
But
honestly,
they're
like,
also kind of good laxatives too.
Hell yeah.
they're
Cat's all
very
about
good sources of fiber, so there's that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
your other sources are gonna be more like leafy vegetables, but if I'm being very honest with you, you would have to eat
Mhm.
a
Oh,
lot
that's
of,
good.
like, leafy greens and other things to get enough omega-3s in, which is why I
As
say
opposed to how many of a chia seeds or something? Like, how many, like, is it 1 spoonful? Like, is that it?
very good question. I actually have a chart that I love,
Oh.
Isn't it
and
cute?
I can tell you the numbers. It's actually kinda crazy when you think of, like, the, like, difference in numbers
Mhm.
of, like, food sources. So,
Mhm.
salmon, for example, just 3 ounces of it gives you 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams, depending on the salmon and where it's coming from. Where, like, for example, spinach, a
Mhm.
cup of spinach only gives you 370 milligrams.
Mm. I do
Okay.
love stuff.
But crazy thing
I
about
like to
this,
just throw it in stuff. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it gives
really
a good texture, like, it's fine.
yeah, it's great texture, yeah.
Chia seeds, an ounce of chia seeds is 4,900 milligrams of omega-3.
Whoa, that's
Mhm.
crazy.
So, if
Wow.
you're someone who
I love
doesn't like
chia
fish,
pudding.
yeah, it's
I love
perfect,
chia
like,
pudding.
right? Slide
Mhm.
it in. So, if you're someone who doesn't like fish, if you can regularly incorporate, like, flax or chia seeds, you don't really need an omega-3 supplementation like, supplement.
Mhm,
But if you're someone who's not gonna do that regularly, who's really only relying on, like, leafy
Mhm.
veggies, things like
mhm,
that, or some nuts because walnuts are a source as well. But, like, if that's more you, then you probably are someone who could benefit from it. Walnuts, an ounce of walnuts does have 2,500 milligrams of
mhm.
Wow.
omega-3 fatty acid content, but then, like, you look at, like, Brussels sprouts, and a cup only has 260 milligrams.
Wow.
So, that's kind of, like, where that difference, like, lands there for omega-3s specifically,
Mhm.
where, like, you don't have to love fish, but maybe you could love, like, some walnuts or
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
chia seeds
Put
or
it in
some
my
flax
chicken
seeds.
salad. Mhm.
Yeah, I like throwing have you ever made, like, peanut butter toast with some chia seeds on it? I think it adds, like, a
Oh,
nice,
that
like,
sounds
That
good.
sounds
Ugh, yeah.
good. No, I have
like
not. I haven't done that.
sorry, with some raspberries on top too, little
Mhm.
drizzle of honey, just throwing it out there.
Now I
That sounds
know,
fantastic.
in your book, Kat was telling me specifically because she and I both struggle with BED that and we've had doctors come on here before to talk about fasting and, intermittent fasting, and, like, I have blood sugar issues, so I don't do that. But there are people that, I mean, like, that
I
could be a
don't do it.
thing.
Yeah.
You talk about that in your book. Can you tell us a little bit about your position on that?
Yeah, I am firmly in the camp of there's nuance to everything, but as a dietitian, I typically don't recommend fasting, especially if you're on a GLP-1 medication, and that's multifaceted. So, number 1, kind of like you've said, like, you're not fasting. Well, first of all, if you go long periods without eating, you're actually more likely to overconsume food because you've gone too long without eating. So, like, it
Mm,
literally just feeds that cycle of then overconsuming later because you weren't consuming regularly. Um, so there's that. But specific with GLP-1 medications, right? We know these medicines slow down how like the rate at which food moves through our stomach to our intestines and then through our intestines. eating regularly helps keep that regular, like bowel movements regular. So if you're then adding in additional prolonged fasting periods, you can actually increase your constipation. When you are more constipated, your reflux can get worse, like your nausea can get worse. And then you get into the cycle of like you're not actually eating, not because you're fasting, but because you just don't feel good.
Mhm.
So I know it is just also is not super helpful for like actually balancing your blood sugar throughout the day. And
Messes me up pretty bad, actually. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so when people talk about like, well, I've seen studies where intermittent fasting was wonderful. I'm like, and who were they studying?
Yeah.
It's almost always men who saw the benefit from it. So if you're a dude and you feel like you can like rock out with it and you're
If it
fine, great
works,
for
yeah.
you.
Mm.
However, us as women, we do not have the same luxury that men do. We have hormones that fluctuate every single day throughout an
Mhm.
entire month. Or we enter perimenopause and then things are even more off the board, and then you can be
Mhm,
postmenopausal.
mhm.
Or I do love HRT. I know you're talking about that cat. My mom started HRT and we all thanked her for that too. Shout out to my mom again. She's much happier now.
Mhm.
I tried to get her on it for years and she finally went on it and was like, "Wait, I feel so much better." And I'm like, Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly." But for us women, we fluctuate so much throughout every single day throughout the month. The best thing that we can give our body is consistency, especially with nourishment. And so
Interesting.
when we are going really long periods of time without eating, that's not consistency for our body. That's just adding stress onto our systems, and as women, we don't need any more stress on our bodies. Like,
So true.
we already have enough. So that's kind of a very surface level answer to that, but if someone was like, "I'm convinced that I need to intermittent fast," my position is more asking them, like, why they feel they need to do that first and trying to understand, like, where it comes from. But
Yeah.
again, the one last thing related to GLP-1s I can say on it is, like, a lot of people end up under eating on GLP-1s because their appetite is already
Yes.
suppressed. They get full
Mhm.
very quickly. So if you are taking an eating window and you're trying to eat all your food in the day within, like, 6 to 8 hours,
Yeah.
no freaking way you're
Yeah.
getting enough food in that 6 to 8
Oh,
hours
yeah.
where then you're gonna undereat,
Which
and
is
then you're
great
gonna
at
feel
first, right? In a way, right? Because it's like, you know, but eventually that's really gonna just like we did when we were young, it's gonna mess you up.
Mhm.
it's gonna catch up to you and
And it
smack
does.
you over the
I
head.
talk about very openly
It will
because when we
catch
first
up.
started this, there was no guidance, right? Very openly, I ate way too little. I would struggle to get in 500 calories, like really fighting myself. But remember how we talked about in the beginning, like you were like, or some point because we talk all the time. But we were talking about sort of like that piece where it's like it's something you're doing or not doing.
Yeah.
It's because I wasn't eating.
Yeah.
If I would just commit to taking a few bites of something, it would re-engage my brain, right? Like I call it the 3-bite rule when I'm doing lives because I would
Mhm.
just commit to like, and it's just like my brain's like, oh yeah, we
Mhm.
do need to do this. You know what I mean? Like, but stuff like that. And I think that it seems fine and dandy, and you're very excited when it first starts, and you can not eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like kind of like mind
Mhm.
altering and but like I know cat we have my friends like cat are like I always eat, you know, but there a lot of people though, a lot of people will not hardly eat anything. And I'm gonna tell
Mhm.
you, when I was 16, because I was always on trying to figure this out. I saw like an ad and like I'm an old lady, like in like a newspaper, like I don't know, classifieds or
Mhm.
something, where it was
Yeah.
like this to lose weight. And I had a little bit of job and a little bit of money. And so I bought this book. And here's what I remember in that book. It stayed with me at 16, 46 now, right? It said, when your stomach is growling, tell yourself that is your body eating your fat. And then you will be okay with your stomach growling.
Yeah.
So
Cries in Diet
that's the
Culture.
kind of stuff I've been reading and
Mhm.
doing forever, right? So, like, it's just it's stuff like that. So, like, if you come with that mindset into something that gives you to where it turns off food noise for me and hunger, like, to me, they're different things, right? And it turns off both, that can be incredibly detrimental to your health, and you will, and over time, lose muscle, and you will over time become weak, and you will over time cause a lot of other issues that will come with that. And then you're back where you started. You just happen to be in a smaller body, but you're still sick, you know? So I think this is all stuff I learned the hard way. And I feel like a grandma sometimes trying to tell people, please don't make the mistakes I've made, you know, but don't eat, please, God, please eat.
It is actually wild how much of my life I spend just trying to get people to eat.
Yeah.
Um,
It's,
and
but it's,
because
I'm telling you, it's because of diet
we've
culture.
been so
Yes.
conditioned to, like, eat less, move more, eat less, move more, that like
Yes.
actually probably the biggest challenge that I face is getting people to listen to me when I say that we need to eat more. When I do all the calculations for someone and I'm like, "Hey, actually, like, you should have been eating X amount," they're like, "There's no way." And I'm like, "Oh, but there is.
Mhm.
There is a way, and we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be uncomfortable, and you're not gonna like me for a little bit, but I promise you when you're feeling better and actually able to maintain your weight loss in the future, you're gonna love me." And I
I like it.
literally 7, 8 hours ago today, I was with a client, and she's on a GLP-1, and she said to me, she was like, because I was just gone in Europe for 3 weeks, so I hadn't seen her in 3 weeks. She was like, she went up in dose, and she was like, "You know what? I'm just not hungry, but every 4 hours, I heard your voice in my head, so I just took a few bites of food." And she was like, "And then I felt hungry and I was able to eat." And she was like, "But I only did that because I remember you saying that even if I don't feel like I need to eat, I still need to eat." And I'm like, "Bingo." And
Did you
that's
hear
something.
that, everybody?
Go eat.
Don't
Go
screw
eat.
up.
Yep. You know what? And so, and
Exactly.
speaking of eating, you mentioned in your book, I call it the fart walks. Sorry, because somebody called it on TikTok the fart walks. To take a walk to help digest your food, have a fart walk. That's what. But also, Tim, this is a very important one that I read in your book, and it makes me think of Claire, Claire on TikTok, touching the grass,
Mm.
grounding. Some of us on our socials, we need to go outside and touch grass, right? But it's actually a thing in the book, grounding.
Yeah.
It is.
Touch the
So,
grass
you know what's funny?
and fart walk.
Fart walk, touch the grass. Tell us all about it.
I don't know what the exact chapter title is now, but
Mhm.
originally, I think I did label this chapter like touch, like go outside and or maybe like touch grass or
Let me
something.
touch the grass.
And the
Let me see.
publisher came back and was like, love the message, but like we need to make it a little less like aggressive. And I was like, I mean,
You
I would
got it
hope I'm gonna
though.
go touch grass. I will. I have to give my
I
husband a
hope
quick
they watch
shout
this.
out.
It was a mistake.
It would have been funny. Well, so when my sister we were like my sister husband and I were, like, texting, and my dad
Mhm.
was in the group chat too, and my sister was like, "Everybody needs to touch some grass." Like, we were just at a tense moment in our vacation, and she was like,
Mhm.
"Everybody needs to touch some grass." And my husband replied because we had just been at Pompeii. We were on the bus back from Pompeii to the cruise ship, and my husband literally replies and goes, "The best I can do is some volcanic ash." And I was like, "I love you." I was like, "You're so" he's
So
he
literal,
just
right?
had it. But so the 2 things, the walk thing. So actually, for digestive purposes, going for just like a little walk, it does not have to be fast. You don't even have to go outside. Just walk around your house and pick up all the things that you said you would put away later that you
Mhm.
didn't actually put away later.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Or all the cups that you left on your nightstand in your desk that like you said you were gonna put in the dishwasher that you
Everywhere.
didn't.
Yep. Like what?
Exactly that, Kim, those, like, 3 bottles right there. So, it can be and, like, that's I sometimes I, like, tell my clients, I'm like, "Make it a little challenge. How many things can you pick up in that 5 to 10 minutes?" So, it's not like you have to walk in, like, a line or a circle. It's just, like, getting up and walking around for 5 to 10 minutes. It can actually just kinda help keep everything moving because it's
And
kind of like
that's
that
why the
saying.
vibration plate works too, with the
Yeah,
poop.
vibration plate can also be great for that, but, like, when you think about it, you should never just, like, eat and then lay horizontally because then you're just, like, laying there kind of like, "Oh, I don't feel good." But
Yeah,
actually, from a blood sugar perspective, we actually can see you can have a better blood sugar response
yeah,
post-meal if you walk around for 5 to 10 minutes because it actually can help with the digestion and then absorption, which then directly impacts your blood sugar levels. So, that's kinda why I wanted to, like, put that in because
I
it's
love
something
it.
that's so simple that you don't even have to leave where you live to do,
Yeah,
that can be really helpful. The other flip side of it, so for the touch grass entry, sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, I think back to like I said, I've wanted to hug younger me so many times. Sometimes being on this journey on a GLP-1, a lot of people again are focused around the weight loss aspect of it, but sometimes it just is so overwhelming between the information you
mhm.
absorb on social media. I really don't think we were all meant to absorb as much information
None
as
of
we
us were
do
meant to absorb any of that.
between, like, news and social media. It's just like, holy shnikes, like, between the work that like, we all go to work, or
Yeah,
some of us, maybe don't go to work, but we keep small humans alive all day. That's, like, more
yeah,
than work. That's, like, more work than I ever do. Right? So, like, all of us have these different stressors and inputs that we're getting throughout the day, like, professionally, personally. Then we get on social media and we're seeing all these things, and when I was quoting Leslie Knope earlier about everybody like nobody loves facts and science, the things that you see go viral on social media are typically related to weight. And I see this all the time because I am
Right.
someone who I've only gone live on TikTok twice, you guys. And it was for other people where like someone was like, I've never seen you on live before. And I'm like, well, this would be because it's my first one. And everyone was like, what? And I'm like, I typically hide. But sometimes I'll be there because I like listen to you guys. Like I love Kim when
Mhm.
you're getting ready in the morning. Like I'll just be listening while I'm like doing something else. But like I see things in the comment section and I'm like, oh, sweet baby Jesus. Like
Mhm.
you guys, like this is kind of scary. And so
Yes.
the virality of people being like, "Oh my gosh, I started my GLP-1 and I lost 40 pounds in 4 months." And I'm like, "Holy guacamole." I mean,
Okay.
there's got to be some nuance there. Maybe you were in a body that could let go of that much that quickly, but like odds are probably not for the
Yeah.
average person. And I think when we see all these people talking about these gigantic results and all these things, like it adds up. And so
Mhm.
it's twofold. Like sometimes we all just need to like go touch, like literally like touch some grass outside and like
Totally.
just focus on like being away from technology, being away from social media, just focus on our surroundings. And so I really like that grounding technique of like you literally go outside and I want you to physically like touch the ground, like touch grass, put it
Mhm.
under your toes, feel it. I mean, if you live by a beach, go touch some sand.
Mhm. Sure.
I live in Colorado. We are a landlocked state. There are no beaches here. So we're
Mhm.
touching some grass. But I think that that's also a big part too. It then leads to that's a really great de-stressing technique because if you are someone who is chronically in a state of stress, that is
Mhm.
going to directly work against you losing any type of weight, even with a GLP-1. Your
Absolutely.
body
Yeah.
has to feel safe enough to let go of weight because your body does not care that you want it to be a smaller size or a different number.
No.
It cannot differentiate that you are actively trying to take weight off your body versus you being in a situation where it's just coming off because you don't have access to food or you're restricted on resources. Like it can't differentiate that. We're not robots. We don't have
Yeah.
chips to do that yet, at least. I mean,
Yet.
people said we'd have flying cars, and we
Right.
don't. Like,
We don't. I
I
know.
mean, but,
It's weird.
You're right. We
you
just
know,
had 20
so,
I just think
flying
it's because
cars
we don't
by
have the infrastructure
2032.
for it, though. I feel like it's possible. You know what I mean?
I mean,
But
I would
yeah.
do it,
Yeah. Me too.
but
Oh, yeah. Flying car.
I'm
DeLorean.
that person that gets in the driverless, like, ride shares, like the Waymos. Have you guys seen those?
No, you
Oh my
nerd.
gosh. They're only
Uh-uh.
in a few different cities, but, like, they are the best rides I've had in my entire life. Where, like, my cousin and my sister are in the back seat with me, like, "We're gonna die, like, this is the end," and I'm like, "This is so lovely. There's no human in here. It doesn't smell weird. Nobody
Wow.
was smoking in here." I'm like, "This is wonderful." And they're bringing it to Colorado, and people are like, "I'll never get in one of those," and I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, sign me up. Where can I take my first ride? Like, let's do it."
That's funny.
So I would get in a flying car. Sign me up. If
Yeah.
that's how I
I know.
go, that's how I go.
I'm very gay. That's a way to go, but I believe it with as much as you travel and stuff, you know what I mean? Okay,
Thank you.
so, obviously, we talked quite a bit. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So, we want everybody to know about the book. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Where can people find you on your socials, and where can they get your book? We will put the link in there, but if someone's just searching and they wanna go look real quick, where can they find it?
Yeah, so the book is available at all major retailers. You can actually do audiobook, ebook, or paperback. I
Okay.
have had multiple people tell me this week that they listened to the audiobook and now they're buying the paperback because they want to take a highlighter to it. So I do
Oh,
love that
yeah.
for them. But yeah, you can listen to it on all major like audiobook platforms. If you like podcasts, a lot of times you'll also like audiobooks. So that's available, but you can get it like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, all the big retailers. You can grab the book from there. On social media for a little bit longer, I'll be on TikTok. I don't foresee me staying on TikTok when it changes in the future, but
Yeah.
for now, you can find me on TikTok at Dietitian Gianna. Dietitian is with a T, everybody, by the way, and Gianna
Mhm.
is Gianna. And then on Instagram, I'm at dietitian.gianna. Hot pink profile picture. You literally can't miss it. Like I said, I share way more on Instagram. So I would say come hang out with me on
Yeah,
Instagram. I try on TikTok, but TikTok's
I
just
get
more
it.
random stuff. So
Right.
I am sharing more on Instagram. I have the book, I have a community, I have group programs, I have all these different things in ways you can work with me in as simple as the book to like one-on-one
Awesome.
work. So
Yeah. So we'll put all of that in the show notes so that you guys can connect with Gianna and that you can pick up the book. And other than that, it has been a lovely conversation. Thanks so much for sharing all this and sharing your journey and your story. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Plus Size Crew, we will see you next week. Hasta la
Hasta la
pasta.
pasta.
You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights, and you can appeal not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming, and a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy to use tool that helps you build expert backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plussides to learn more and use code PLUSSIDES with a Z to save.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.